Fan is live and local with Fan Sports Saturday. The Fan Sports Day of the Week. Oh, this is some clever branding. Here's your host, Place Name Here.
Yeah, that's some accurate advertising right there. Place name here, that's what happens when you're the day after a holiday. The names here are Cole Bartemes, Pat Murphy, and Nate Puderbaugh. And we appreciate you tuning in here, 97.1 Fan Sports Saturday. Pat Murphy, it's a pleasure to meet you.
You too.
There we go.
Excited.
So you and I were just talking before the show, and we got a great show for you. We got a little bit of everything. We got college football recruiting. Ohio State has had a really big week, as has everybody else. We'll discuss that the back half of the 10 o'clock hour. Noon hour, we're going to talk a lot about the NFL. 11 o'clock hour in between. It takes a lot for me to actually want to talk about LeBron James on the radio, but all of this like Cleveland Cavaliers reunion possibility stuff is actually interesting to me.
Sure.
I'm going to ban us from ever mentioning Michael Jordan's name in that conversation.
Okay.
I'm not trying to turn this into a GOAT conversation because I got LeBron fatigue like you wouldn't believe. And I'm about 10 years in to wanting him to retire, and it's not going to happen. And so I'm just convinced that he's going to play till he's like 65 years old, just to spite me. But there are some interesting angles to the whole LeBron reunion stuff. But yeah. I will offer an early olive branch to my co-host here. Pat Murphy, first of all, this is a big day for me because a year ago today, I was here at the 97.1 The Fan Studios interviewing for a job here.
Nice.
And now here I am in the one chair.
There we go.
Debuting, by the way.
Yeah.
And I'm born and raised here, worked in a different market, made my way back here. That other market, St. Louis, Missouri.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
I love St. Louis.
Yeah, so I was talking to you because I had thought that you were from there originally, and apparently that is the case.
Yes.
But I thought you spent a lot of time there, but you were telling me that you were there for only like 10 years.
Yeah. I was born there, lived there till the summer before I went into the summer I turned 10. My birthday's later this month. So, but all my family's there, extended family and whatnot. So my fiance, completely coincidentally, her family's from there as well. So,
First of all, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. It's actually we're coming up on a year of being engaged.
When's the date?
We're getting married next April, so we still have quite a bit of time. But we're taking a very long route. We've also been together for 9 years, so.
Oh, so it's like,
yeah.
What's one more?
Right, exactly. I was talking to somebody yesterday at one of the 4th of July places we went, and he was like, aren't you guys like common law married already? And I was just like, I don't know what the Ohio laws are, but I mean, we might as well be. So, yes, but St. Louis, yeah, very, very near and dear to my heart. So I'm glad we have that connection.
Yeah, I mean, it was, because if St. Louis people were listening to this, they'd be like, why are you shouting it out on the radio? Because I was kind of combating with them a little bit. St. Louis has its quirks, man.
Sure.
It is a very proud town. It behaves like a small town. There are a couple dynamics there, and you missed a really good one because you were there. You said you moved here when you were 10. The private school versus public school dynamic in that city is really bogus to me. So it's like a legit status symbol based on whether or not you go to a public school or a private school. The civic pride there is out of control. I'm not a huge civic pride guy. Like, I love being from Columbus, and especially in the sports radio realm.
Right.
This is an unbelievable sports town. And we don't need anybody else to justify that, but like we just are. But St. Louis is a really good St. Louis sports town. They don't have a clue what's going on outside of St. Louis, but we'll get into that in a sec. But the whole civic pride, like where you went to high school is a big deal.
Sure.
It's a big deal when you're in high school. And I don't really know if I would want to raise kids in that environment. And so it wasn't really the city for me, but it's even a big thing beyond high school. Like, where are you sending your kids? And so it's like a popularity symbol with adults. Like, are you sending your kids to public school? Are you sending your kids to private school? So I'm glad that you avoided that because that is a strange dynamic that I just did not understand.
Yeah, it reminds me a little bit of Cincinnati. And if you've spent time around people from Cincinnati, and this is not a shot at all, but there's a lot of, which high school did you go to, that type of thing.
Moeller and St.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, like my cousins, all girls who all went to, 3 of the 4, I guess, went to private schools, and that does come up quite a bit. They love the school they went to. It's a really unique community, I think. Like you said, it's sort of a bigger city that has a smaller town community, I guess is how I'd put it. And the sports side of it, look, you've got the Cardinals, you've got the Blues. They obviously had the Rams The Battlehawks are there if you're into spring football. But they are, I mean, especially the Cardinals. And my grandpa was a huge Cardinals fan. I grew up going to games. It's almost cult-like, and I mean that in the best way possible, of the fandom for that sport in that city. You know, it's like Ohio State football here if Ohio State football was played every day.
Yeah, but
is it like if you meet someone from Chicago, the first thing they always tell you is that they're from Chicago?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I guess I it's tough for me because when I go there, I'm usually around people I know, right? So I'm not. I guess you might have a better answer having.
Well, I mean, the first thing that I thought of was the whole "I'm from the Lou and I'm proud" thing.
Yeah,
look,
fair enough.
Nelly is so played out for me there too. Like, if you ever need like a celebrity guest for a parade, it's like Eminem with Detroit. Like, you know, like Eminem's he's going to the Detroit NFL draft. He's on the sidelines for Lions playoff games and stuff like that. Like, if you ever need a celebrity in St. Louis, it's the same one every time, and it's Nelly.
Well, I mean, who else are you going to go with, I guess, is what I'd ask. Like,
well, they played up the whole Jason Tatum, Matthew Tkachuk thing because the Panthers and the Celtics won the championships.
Yes.
Literally in the same month.
Right.
And so they both went to the same high school. And so those videos from back in when they were at Chaminade were coming back up. And it's just like, dude, I've seen all of this. And like everyone is losing their minds. And
but how many people know outside of St. Louis, how many people know that Jason Tatum, you know, like you think Jason Tatum, you think Duke and the Celtics, right? So like Nelly, for me, Nelly, who will be performing in Columbus later this summer, by the way, I think at the Picnic at the Pops or one of those, like he is the guy who got out, right, and is still recognized. And like, it obviously helps that he has a platform to rap about St. Louis, right? I mean, Jason Tatum, you're playing basketball, you're not necessarily talking about the city. Same with Tkachuk. So
the Cardinals have a good hat too, and it's big in the rap game. Which baseball cap are you wearing? The Pirates. I'm a big Pirates fan. The Pirates have a good cap.
Yeah.
White Sox, I think they got a good one too. And so, it's also, and not to go to war with people older than me. Nelly predates me.
Sure.
At least my wheelhouse. Like, he was big in the early 2000s, and I was born in 99. Yeah. So it's just, for me, it's a little bit of like, aren't you a little bit old for this?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know the last time Nelly put out an album. I couldn't tell you that off the top of my head. So, yeah, I think he is still riding the wave of that era of rap. Obviously, he's still around.
Yeah.
I don't think he's the relevant status guy that he once was.
And I don't blame anybody for taking an opportunity that they've been given. No. So if somebody asked me repeatedly, like there's this term, overexposure. Nelly was overexposed like crazy in St. Louis. It's like, Taylor Swift, overexposed. Jason and Travis Kelce, overexposed. Jelly Roll, overexposed. I have no problem with people getting tired of people just because they're sick and tired of seeing them.
Yeah.
Or hearing from them because they're everywhere.
Yeah. But I also think you got to ride your wave when it's there.
Yeah. And I don't blame anybody for taking opportunities that are given to them. So it's not their fault. It's just, I need to change the channel, I guess.
Yeah. And that's fine.
But you were talking about the sports town and football. Columbus is a much better sports town, in my opinion. And it's all driven by football. Like, football is the sport where if you follow it, it's really hard to just follow one team. And it's so much easier to follow everybody else because, first of all, the games are broadcasted nationally. Mm-hmm. So, like, you can watch everything. If you're a big baseball fan or a basketball fan, those teams are all being broadcasted locally. There's going to be a lot of teams who only have one national game a year.
Yeah.
Ask Blue Jackets fans about that. Blue Jackets fans have a lot of experience when it comes to that. So, the fact that the sport of football kind of burned them, I get that because, like, the Rams left in the NFL. Yep. Mizzou wasn't any good. And so Columbus, I'm telling you, man, just having been on another, not the other side of it, but having been on another side of it, not every sports town is like this one.
Yeah.
And I think that also reflects why our ratings are so good, not to be braggadocious about it. And certainly I've had very little to do with that. But
I've had less. So
yeah, it's okay. We're contributing today.
We're doing what we can.
But I think that part of the reason that we are such a strong radio station is because just the culture of the sports city here. And it's driven by football. Everybody here, they have, obviously, the Buckeyes, as we got the logo right next to us.
Right.
The Browns and the Bengals are both within 2.5 hours. Bengals even closer than that.
Yeah.
And honest, not that I know many Colts fans. The Colts are like 2.5 hours away as well.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh in the other direction. So, like, this is the epicenter of football in the Midwest. So I think having that sport as our backbone as a city, I think really contributes to that. It makes us one of the best sports. And there are a lot of variables that you can take into play here. And I know that you were discussing this with your buddies recently in terms of like what's the best sports city in America.
Yeah.
I think Columbus definitely has a case. I'm not going to put us at number one just because that kind of seems like that kind of just seems lazy. Like, oh, guy from Columbus who's only lived in one other city says Columbus is the best sports city in America. But I'm telling you, we're up there.
Yeah, I think it depends on how you're going to define it. And that was the conversation I was having with friends. Like, is it about winning? Is it about the fans and the support for the team? Is it, how are you characterizing what factors make up the best sports city? And I think you could heavily debate that among a lot of cities. I think Columbus is certainly interesting. St. Louis is just different because there's two teams. They both play a lot of games. So drumming up interest every day is hard to do, I think.
Yeah. I know one athlete who has a thought on this, and we're going to hear from them next. Stick around. It's Fan Sports Saturday on The Fan.
Unlike your deadbeat uncle, we'll never leave you stranded in a ditch when you were 6. This promo may have been a touch too specific. The Fan.
This summertime, it's Modelo time. Whether you're poolside or curbside, kick it with an ice cold Modelo. Time to fire up the grill and turn up. Time to reach for a crisp Modelo or the refreshing lime and salt flavors of Modelo Chelada. Time to raise one to summer, and time to stock up on Modelo before summer is gone. Drink responsibly. Beer and flavored beer imported by Crown Imports, Chicago, Illinois.
Road trip! This summer at Tire Discounters, your tires are your passport to savings because you're driving to Paris,
Texas,
then it's off to Rome,
Georgia,
and you'll be kissing the Blarney Stone in Dublin,
Ohio.
Right now, save up to $494 when you buy 4 tires, and that includes a free alignment and oil change. Stop at Tire Discounters before you see the world.
This is This Date in Reds Baseball with team historian Greg Rhodes.
Reds right fielder Paul O'Neill had many highlights in his career, but who would have thought he'd be remembered for his kicking game? It happened on this July 5th, 1988, the Reds versus Philadelphia at Veterans Stadium. With a runner on first base, Lenny Dykstra knocked a single to right. The runner rounded second and headed for third. O'Neill charged the ball and scooped it and bobbled it. Picked it up again. Oh no, he dropped it again. O'Neill was so frustrated he just kicked it. About a 60-foot punt that amazingly went right to first baseman Todd Benzinger, who was able to hold the runner at third. A football highlight for you from this July 5th, 1988, this date in Reds baseball.
This Date in Reds Baseball is brought to you by the Cincinnati Reds Hall of Fame and Museum, presented by Dinsmore. Celebrating greatness, preserving history, providing inspiration.
I'm an old school Joe, and my philosophy is simple and effective. At the end of the day, it's not what you win or lose, it's what you save. And betting reduced juice at Prime Sports Ohio is the way to save money on every single bet. Download the Prime Sports Ohio app or visit our website, primesportsbook.com. Get a welcome bonus to match your initial deposit up to $400 in bonus bets, and be a member of the Prime Sports family.
Terms and conditions apply. Visit website for details. Must be 21 and present in Ohio. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Central Ohio contractors and homeowners. Tired of overpriced, low-quality cabinets? Well, it's time to upgrade your cabinet game. 3D Cabinetry is your go-to for fast, hassle-free service and cabinets you can trust from order to install. 3D Cabinetry delivers fully assembled all-wood affordable cabinets. No delays, no stress. Just quality craftsmanship delivered on time, every time. Get started with your free consultation today at 3dcabinetry.net. That's 3dcabinetry.net, where quality meets affordability and reliability.
T-Bone and Tyvus is sponsored by Prime Sports. Receive a 100% match when you deposit up to $400. Download the Prime Sports Ohio app or visit online at primesportsbook.com. Cool cars, cool people, good time. It's the biggest and best hot rodding event of the year. The Buckeyes 27th Summit Racing Nationals presented by PPG. July 11th through the 13th at the Ohio Expo Center in Columbus. Over 6,000 classics from across the USA. Shop the swap meet at Huge Fender Midway. See which rides take home the crown of the 2025 Classic Instrument Street Rods and PPG Street Machine of the Year. July 11th through the 13th at the Ohio Expo Center. Details at good-guys.com.
Hi, this is Bob Masheter from Dick Masheter Ford. Thank you to all of Central Ohio as we head towards 60 years of doing business in the Buckeye State. Dad opened up in 1967 simply trying to offer a better way to buy a car, and we've been working ever since to serve our neighbors. We have served you through wars, recessions, and even a Chinese virus. Here is to serving you and your kids and your grandkids for the next 60 years, except on Sundays when we're closed, because it's the right thing to do. Still 24/7 at masheterford.net. Thanks.
Hey guys, it's Timmy Hall from my friends at Orthopedic One, Central Ohio's most trusted orthopedic practice. 2 years ago, I was actually experiencing hip pain for the first time in my life, and I knew I needed the best. So I chose Orthopedic One for my physical therapy needs. And in a matter of weeks, I was rotating that golf swing better than before, and I was the longest hitter in my group again. So be like me and trust Orthopedic One and stay at the top of your game. Several convenient locations across Central Ohio. To find a physician or location near you, just go to orthopedic1.com.
At United Dairy Farmers, Peach is our most popular ice cream. Although it's only here for a short time, we sell more of it than any other flavor. And once you taste it, you'll know why it wins the popularity contest. We make it from scratch by mixing in the juice from our hand-selected peaches and big chunks of fruit. That's what gives it that unique peachier flavor. And that might also explain why peach season at UDF doesn't last long. UDF Peach Ice Cream, made for you.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Aaron White with your 10 weather impact forecast here for today on your Saturday. We're tracking sunshine this afternoon with highs into the mid-90s. Highs around 93 degrees, but we're up to 94 here on your Sunday. There will be humidity around, making it feel even hotter as heat index values reach the mid to upper 90s. So stay cool and stay hydrated here as we go through the rest of our holiday weekend. We are tracking some cooler weather, but also showers and storms back in the forecast here. Looking ahead to Monday. And that's your 10 weather impact forecast here on 97.1 The Fan.
If the sound of another man slammed against plexiglass turns you on, you've come to the right place. Proud to be your home for Jackets hockey. The Fan, Ohio sports destination. Just because it's the weekend doesn't mean we shut up. This is Fan Sports Saturday.
Cole Bartemes, Pat Murphy, Nate Puderbaugh, Fan Sports Saturday, 97.1 The Fan. Appreciate you tuning in. We were talking in the last segment about how Columbus, Ohio, legitimately, no civic pride bias, none of that, legitimately one of the best sports towns in America. Now, I don't know if the folks on ESPN would agree because they had the B-teamers filling in yesterday, which means I was at the gym, I looked up on the TV, didn't recognize a single face. Actually, Mike Tannenbaum, I did recognize him. You have a former GM in the NFL working on 4th of July. I feel like he's a little bit too good for that.
You got to put your time in.
I guess. He's done it all. He's on Get Up all the time, but I don't know.
He was just available. No plans.
Perhaps.
To do.
Maybe he's just local.
Yeah.
Didn't have any vacation plans. Maybe it's just being a good teammate.
Yeah, exactly.
But,
like us right now.
Yeah, I did look exactly. I did look up though and saw on the lower third that they had their topic was, is New York City the best sports city in America? I'll give them a little bit of credence on that, just a little bit, not a lot, because first of all, the major market bias, especially in this industry, is ridiculous. But I will give you a little bit of credit. If you have like 9 professional teams in your city, granted you have 20 million people in your city, so that helps, that you're always going to have enough people to fill the stadiums. But it is a really, really good sports city, which I think is more of just a microcosm of they are the biggest city in a really good sports country. So we can kind of like just steal a little bit of New York's credit and give it to America. I don't think that gives them the title, but I'll give them a little bit of something because you got, 2 of everything, basically?
Yeah, pretty much.
2 MLS teams as well. Mm-hmm. So I'll give you that. And if you want to do the full metro area, you could probably put the New Jersey Devils in there too, because I think Newark counts.
They've counted the New Jersey for football for 50 years. So
Yeah. Yeah, but that's right across the river, though. Like, MetLife is right across the river.
Okay,
from
they're
New
in
York.
Jersey.
They are in Jersey.
I guess.
Yeah. When my buddies and I are having this conversation, one of my buddies is from Boston and is talk about civic pride.
Oh, no.
If you know people from Boston. But
does he sound like he's from Boston?
He does not at all, actually.
Okay.
No, it's funny. He served in the military. Thank him for his service.
Thank you for that, especially on a day like yesterday.
Yes, and then he lived in Austin, Texas for a while, so he's also a big Texas fan. Didn't go to Texas, but anyway.
That's fine. I'm a Notre Dame fan, and none of us went there.
Yeah, but he didn't even... Yeah, this is a whole separate conversation. But anyway, we were discussing this, and when I brought up Los Angeles, because if you look at like number of championships in the major sports, they just passed Boston. And he was leaning heavily on the Patriots, which, speaking of not being in New York, Patriots not actually in Boston.
Foxborough.
Right, exactly. So he took out Anaheim if I was going to take out the Patriots. But the number of teams was something he brought up, which you just mentioned. Like, if you have that many teams, how do you decide that this is a great sports city when everybody's divided, right?
Yeah, and if you count the good, you have to count the bad, too.
Exactly.
Jets have the biggest playoff drought in the NFL.
Yeah, and there's been a period in Los Angeles. The Clippers were awful for a long time, right? But they still count. They've been good recently. So I think it's a really interesting, like we were saying earlier, like, how do you define it? Is it about winning? Is it about supporting your team? Because like Los Angeles, I'm a fan of 2 Los Angeles teams. That's not a big sports fandom town. The Rams and the Lakers.
Oh.
I was going to say, how do you count football if you're a Los Angeles fan? Because they change every 5 years.
And if football is going to be the hallmark sport of this conversation, you also can't have a football stadium that is filled with everybody else's fans but yours.
Correct.
Yeah, that does happen. It happen. I mean, it's a place like Miami. Like, these places with so much else to do are going to be very different from a fan standpoint in terms of what the stadiums look like, how filled it is.
Yeah, but 8 million people are supposed to combat that.
Yeah, but like, look at Miami. You know, if we want to just change the city.
We'll talk about Miami in 2 seconds.
Yeah,
Please continue.
But you're going to have people visiting there. You know, you are not visiting Green Bay, Wisconsin because your team is playing there necessarily, right? I mean, you may go because you want to see Lambeau, you want to do that, but like, it's not a destination. But if your team's playing in Vegas, your team's playing in LA, your team's playing in Miami, your team's playing in San Diego, whatever, these like major holiday city, you go make a long weekend of it, things like that. So it does change. And I think from a fan standpoint, it's hard to argue some of those bigger cities. Now, New York is different, right? The New York fans are crazy about their teams, no doubt about it. But then,
too crazy. I think it actually hurts them.
Yeah, sure.
I think when it's like, May 1st and Mets fans are saying Juan Soto's a terrible contract on a 15-year deal, I think that makes their city look stupid.
Or it's the Knicks are God's gift to basketball when they're the Browns.
What an overrated...
By any other standard than the Browns.
Hey, the NBA is better when the Knicks are good. Didn't you hear? Yeah, for all of those elitists who actually work in New York.
For those of us a little older that had to hear about how LeBron was going to New York for a decade.
Yep.
And how every head coach was also going to go there.
Yep.
Yeah,
and then they didn't have a head coach until yesterday, 2 days ago.
Yeah, then Mike Brown was their 17th choice and got our guy. Yeah, okay. But you brought up Miami, which is interesting because Sophie Cunningham, some of the conversation that she had earlier in the week about WNBA expansion actually ties perfectly into the topic that we're talking about. And I'll save you the audio because it kind of sounded like the Indiana Fever had like 10 different players all having an immediate availability right next to each other. So it's kind of all muffled. So we'll just read the quotes. But basically, she was dogging some of the cities. For those who don't know, Cleveland in 2028, Detroit in 2029, Philadelphia in 2030. And Sophie Cunningham said, I also think that you want to listen to your players, too. Where do they want to play? Where are they going to get excited to play? I don't know how people are going to be excited about going to Detroit or Cincinnati, which, first of all, don't dog Cleveland as a sports city. I'm considering putting them number 1, even though I don't like any Cleveland sports teams. Cleveland sports fans are loyal to the soil as it gets. And I guess underscoring her point, I'm going to assume that this was an honest mistake. If so, all right, that kind of proves her point that she didn't even get the city correct and she's talking about not wanting to go there. At the same time, you play in Indianapolis. Like, you're going to dog Detroit and Cleveland as cities you don't want to go to? And she did cite specifically, what about Miami? What about Nashville? Okay, so we got one major market, one mid-market. But this is going to land a little bit awkwardly with WNBA, or I guess not just WNBA fans, but like sports fans at large, especially in those two cities. It's like, this league has been super popular, but for like 2 years. And it's like, you're already going to be in a position where you're talking like you're too good to go to Detroit or Cleveland. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Well, and I think, too, if you are the WNBA, I think one of the things that they've done really well is landing in cities that value having a WNBA team. And sometimes that means not doing the major cities. I mean, I know they have New York. I know they have LA. But like in Indianapolis, that's really successful because it's a town in the middle of the summer where not much else is going on, right? So, like, hey, let's go to a WNBA game. It's not like you're competing with these other sports throughout the year. I mean, obviously they do have winter, NBA, football, stuff like that. But you have a good time period, a good access point for people to come out to games. Minnesota, same thing. Like, okay, if we're not out on the lakes here, let's go to a WNBA game. Putting it in Miami in the summer, I don't know. I think Detroit and Cleveland make a little bit more sense.
Do you think that people in Miami even know that the Panthers have won back-to-back Stanley Cups?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think...
Like the average person in Miami. Like you walk up to somebody on the street, like the first person that you see walking out of a gas station.
Yeah, I doubt it.
Don't go like outside the arena because of course they're going to.
Sure.
Like those are sports fans. The average person, like to your point, like they say that the colder it is, the better the sports talk radio. Mm-hmm. And so, that's why like some of the best stations are us, Pittsburgh, Boston, Detroit. Detroit's a fantastic sports town.
Yeah.
In fact, do you think that it would actually be a better idea? And kind of, you brought up the UFL earlier with the Battlehawks. Do you think that it would be, because we had this conversation in St. Louis a lot. I think that it would be better in some cases, not all cases, but for the WNBA to target cities that don't already have NBA teams.
Yeah, I think so. I think that makes a lot of... Look, there's obvious basketball hubs, right? Like having another team in Indianapolis makes a lot of sense because Indiana is basketball lovers, right? But I do think that having it in places where there's not access to a ton of other things makes it more appealing to go to. I remember growing up in St. Louis, we had an indoor soccer team that became really popular because it was basically them and the Blues in the winter. And other than that, what were you doing, right? And so if the Blues weren't playing, you had another option, and it was, hey, let's go to the indoor soccer game. It's super cheap, same arena. Like, I think having access to things that you don't normally have in a city sports-wise is certainly an advantage.
This sounds stupid. I am dead serious. I think a good city for them to expand to, especially right now, would be like Des Moines. I'm serious. You got the Connecticut Sun in Connecticut, which is cherry picking off the popularity of UConn women's basketball. Right. Iowa women's basketball is enormous right now. Or I should say, women's basketball is enormous in Iowa right now. Now would be a perfect time to go there. Would Sophie Cunningham want to play there? No.
Doesn't sound like it.
But so what? It's on your schedule. You're going to be there anyway. And if you don't want to play there, then don't sign there in free agency. But hey, we'll be back in a couple minutes. June is when the recruits take their official visits, and July is when they tell us where they're going to play ball. We'll catch you up on all things Buckeye recruiting next. 2 minutes, Fan Sports Saturday in the Fan.
Hey, look, it's Bob Capace from Worthington Jewelers. Say hi, Bob.
Hi, Bob.
You know what I love the most about your store?
What's that, common man?
The way you treat people. You get to know your customers. That's why they keep coming back. No sleazeballs around. Just good, clean boys and girls selling jewelry.
Stop in and see the difference for yourself.
Worthington Jewelers on High Street in Worthington. WorthingtonJewelers.com. It's where Columbus gets engaged. Tell them Common Man sent you.
Newman Roofing is proud to sponsor the Fan and 10 TV's Beat the Heat fan drive. Help Ohio's most vulnerable residents deal with the extreme heat this summer. Purchase new box fans and take them to the nearest Franklin County fire station or buy online. For more information, go to lifecarealliance.org.
Got one of those days that never stops? Try a stop at Speedway. Refresh your fuel tank, refresh your U-tank with 69-cent large Big Gulp drinks. And refresh the vibe for any drive. Refresh at Speedway with 69-cent large Big Gulp drinks with speedy rewards and try exclusive Mountain Dew Infinite Swirl flavor for a limited time only. The convenience stores of Speedway. Valid through 8/26/25. See app for full terms.
Your bathroom's got to go, the vanity's decayed, and toilet's really old. The bathtub's giving way. Give Bath R Us a ring. Call morning, noon, or night. You do not have to wait to catch your bathroom right.
Call Baths R Us for your free estimate and enter to win our Christmas in July $12,500 bathroom remodel with an additional savings of up to $3,000 plus low to no monthly payments. 380-225-2284. Baths R Us, where dreams soak in.
Listen to Financially Fit Radio with Corey Sickles this Saturday morning at 9 a.m. on 1460 ESPN, covering topics like what you need to know about annuities and how to stay healthy and enjoy retirement. Financially Fit Radio this Saturday at 9 a.m. on 1460 ESPN.
Just when you thought afternoons couldn't get any dumber.
You fellas been doing a bit of boozing, have you?
Common Man and Timmy.
Weekdays from 3 to 6.
Your home for dumb. The Fan. Instead of annoying national people talking to you this weekend, we've opted for annoying local people. This is Fan Sports Saturday.
Yes, it is. Cole Bartemes, Pat Murphy, Nate Puderbaugh. Nate, remind me at some point in the next couple commercial breaks, I got to get you an Odell Beckham soundbite for later.
Sounds good.
There you go. Chime in whenever you want. We're all having fun. Pat, where can the people find you and follow all your work?
Yeah, I am on social medias. I think all of them are _Pat_Murphy. And we're over at Bucknuts. Me and Dave Biddle, who also does.
I'm a big fan of Dave Biddle.
Yeah, love Dave.
He's a Bengals fan, so you know.
So he's a wise man, is what he's saying.
That was not what I was saying. I was saying,
Oh.
It's all right. Well,
you've lost Nate now.
Well, Bengals fans have gotten pretty chesty over the past handful of years. So the Joe Burrow rookie year was tough. And then I think he got like his leg obliterated against the Eagles or something like that anyway.
Yeah, that was that year.
Yep. And then come out year 2, guns a-blazing. Jamar Chase gets the triple. He got a triple crown, right? His rookie year?
I think so.
I think so. And then obviously you win the AFC. So with me being a Steelers fan, it's kind of like, you know, which team do I dislike the most? It's just like whoever's the biggest threat. And for a long time, I really enjoyed the Marvin Lewis era. Because I knew that no matter how good...
No matter what, we were losing to the Steelers in the playoffs.
Yeah. It could be anything. It could be a Jeremy Hill fumble. It could be anything.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be Carson Palmer's leg exploding.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
It could be 18 penalties on the last drive of the game, as we had one year.
You gave us 30 yards.
Yep.
You gave us an unsportsman or a blow to the head.
Yep.
Shockingly, it was Vontez Perfect. I know we're all, just like, who could believe that? And then I think it was like Pac-Man Jones or something. He got
a pretty weak pass interference call at the end.
No, I think he had something like a taunting penalty or something because he was going at it with Joey Porter, who was an assistant coach at the time. So we got 30 yards on one play. We got the 15 yards unnecessary roughness, and then we got after the play a bonus 15 yards. So you never know. So back in those days, I won't say I really enjoyed the Bengals, but I tolerated them because I didn't view them as that big of a threat. In my childhood, they were kind of fun because they had Ocho Cinco and then T.O. came for a year. So, there was a little bit of appeal to them, but the Bengals have gotten a little bit too competitive. Not necessarily last year, but it is an interesting thing with the Bengals, though, that even though last year they missed the play, and they may have missed the playoffs the year before that, too. But
no, we didn't.
No, okay. So, but regardless, you missed the playoffs last year. And the way that people talk about them heading into this season is almost like last year didn't even happen. Like, people are still talking about the Bengals as just is Joe Burrow and Jamar, just basically skimming off the top? It's Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase.
Well, it's the way the second half of the season went, right? I mean, the games they won and the run they went on to almost make the playoffs, I think, is the... Correct me if I'm wrong, Nate, but that's got people excited.
Yeah, I mean, when you're scoring 40 points a game,
you just need to get some stuff.
The last 8 games of the season, you do kind of feel a little pump in your chest a little bit.
I know that offense is like everything in the NFL, or at least that's the way it's discussed. And, in this day and age.
The Bengals were coached by Lincoln Riley last year. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a very good way to put it, too. But I do wonder if Bengals fan out there listening to this right now is feeling a little bit differently, just based on the past month. Because I think a lot of people, The Bengals season started, and I didn't even know we were going to do a Bengals segment right now, and we'll shift to Ohio State recruiting in a second. But the way that the Bengals season went last year, I think a lot of people, as we have just discussed, are kind of like disregarding it, and that like they were ready to go. I think the Trey Hendrickson thing, coupled with the Shamar Stewart thing, is almost like, can this organization do anything right?
There is a bit of that. Obviously, it'd be nice if, the guy you bring in to replace the guy you don't want to give money to, you would give money to.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we're also pounding our chest a little bit because I don't think the division is as good as it was last year.
No, it's not.
The Browns, who knows what the hell they're going to do.
Oh, I know what they're going to be. They're going to be
bad.
crap.
I don't think the Steelers are going to be any good. And I think the Ravens are going to come back to the pack a little bit.
The Steelers have a ceiling. And I just... We do, and
I think Rodgers is done.
We hit our head on the same ceiling every single year. Like, great. We have like the 2018 All-Stars with Aaron Rodgers and Jalen Ramsey. Like, cool. But I don't know. We'll be somewhere in the middle as always.
If you took most of the Steelers roster and put it together 5 or 6 years ago, I think you feel much better.
Yeah. This is like that dude in fantasy who just drafts like all the names hoping that they
pop.
Yeah, they bring back what they had.
They're a really great all-pro team in 2016.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I'm saying. My goodness. But anyway, it was a big week in recruiting for the Buckeyes, and I mentioned heading into the break that June is the month where everybody takes their official visits, and so we have like a wildfire of commitments the first week of July. And a lot of people actually have their commitments slated for July 4th. So yesterday we had a whole lot going on. One of them being Pat Murphy, JJ Perez, Jameer Perez. He's from Glenville. I don't think I need to explain to anybody in Columbus that Glenville High School has a pretty rich history with Ohio State football.
Right.
It was a richer history earlier in the 2000s, but now they got two. It helps that JJ Perez has a teammate, Sincere Johnson, who's also coming here, and I imagine that he had something to do with it. But he was previously committed to Florida, now committed to the Buckeyes. That happened yesterday. Dude, I don't know how anybody would want to play for Billy Napier.
Yeah, look, the Perez stuff is interesting because it felt like as soon as he committed to Florida, which was a bit of a surprise when he did commit, he took a visit, and I think even recruiting people were a bit taken aback, like, oh, where'd this come from type of thing. But then it quickly was like, well, Ohio State's still sitting right here, right? And I felt like almost anyone I talked to recruiting-wise was expecting him to flip. And it didn't take long, right? I don't remember exactly when he committed to Florida, but it's been a few months. And so, like you said, the Glenville pipeline is strong. He has not only a teammate that's coming to Ohio State, but former teammates that are currently on the Buckeye roster. And this is a guy that Ohio State was not going to give up on. And I think, like I said, it was not set in stone that he would flip, but I think most people were still encouraged, despite the commitment from an Ohio State standpoint, were encouraged that he was going to end up being a Buckeye. And look, the fight's not over, I guess. Signing day's not till December, but I think Ohio State people feel pretty strongly that this is where he will land.
Yeah, and to your point, you were talking about the commitments and how nothing's ever done. And so the fact that he was committed to Florida in-state,
right?
Dude, the decommitments that happen all the time. We had Austin Ward on Rothman and Ice filling in on Friday, and I'm sorry, Friday was yesterday. The holidays all throw me off. But on Thursday he was in, and he said that there was an announcement being made that JJ Perez had an announcement, and usually you don't pump an announcement just for a decommitment. You just kind of decommit on the spot. And so that was also a little bit of a clue that he was probably going to make the flip, and lo and behold, here he is. Also on Thursday, and this is the big one, you didn't have a quarterback in this 2026 class, and now you do. So you had Brady Edmonds already committed from, I believe, Huntington Beach, California, and that's for the 2027 class. And now you have a guy for the 2026 class, also from California, this time Mission Viejo. CJ Stroud also from California, so they got a little bit of a thing going on out there. It's Luke Fahey, a 4-star guy. I think he picked up an Ohio State offer a little bit late because he was trending towards Stanford for a long time. And then when you have Ohio State versus Stanford, you do the math on that one, which one's a better place for you. So Luke Fahey's coming along. What do we know about him?
A bit of, I don't know if undersized is the right word. He's 6 foot, and I think that's really the knock, is he's not quite the stereotypical pocket passer type that Ohio State has had, especially when you look at, Will Howard, obviously, Dwayne Haskins, CJ Stroud. but by all accounts, a surgeon, so to speak, in terms of the passing game. I know his 7-on-7 film is pretty ridiculous. Now, that's not, as Ryan Day has said many times, that's not real football. That's 7-on-7, and there's certainly value in it. But I think you like the fact that you have a guy who is super accurate. Now, he will have to evolve. There's a reason he's a 3 or 4 star commit. I think our rankings have him outside the top 30 at the position. I think that will probably increase as more eyeballs are on him now that he's an Ohio State commit. But I don't want to say he's a throw-in because he's certainly not. He's more talented than that. But as you mentioned, they didn't have a 2026 quarterback. They certainly wanted one in that class. They want one in every class. They were thinking about, do we take 2 in 2027, something that Brady Edmonds has talked about being okay with because if you don't get a 2026. So I think that's another whole topic is, do you still take 2 in 2027 or are you happy now? But I think this is a guy that's going to have to come in, going to have to continue to develop like they all do, but certainly a guy who has some traits that you really like and I think you can build on once he gets on campus.
So that room's getting a little bit crowded. Obviously, everybody's excited for Sane versus Keenholz.
Yep.
Ryan Day actually told us after, he didn't tell us before the spring game, he told us after that Lincoln Keenholz actually had a little bit of a lead. And the reason that he said this is because it's back to 50-50 because Julian Sane performed better in the spring game. And then Tavian St. Clair, one of the top recruits in the country, basically one of the top 3, depending on which site. Your big 3 were Bryce Underwood, Tavian St. Clair, and Keelan Russell. And so he's a part of the big 3. All 3 of those were quarterbacks in that class, so very excited for him. You got Luke Fahey, you got Brady Edmonds, and so it's a crowded room, the transfer portal has kind of damaged the excitement around recruiting a little bit. Not necessarily here, mostly at other schools. I think Ohio, actually, my school that I root for, Notre Dame doesn't have a tremendous issue with the transfer portal. But either way, you kind of trust when you just flood a room with talent that the best are going to stay because the best are going to be on the field. So you don't have to marry yourselves to these names because if they leave, it is almost in all likelihood going to be a playing time issue, which shouldn't be any fans' concern anyway.
Right. And it is interesting how you build a quarterback room now. Brandon Beam and I were talking about this the other night on the Buckeye show because I think there was a sort of a mindset, and Dabo Swinney kind of had it locked down for a while of if you land an elite quarterback every other year, you're going to be really good. Pre-transfer portal, pre-NIL, and you look back at what they did, Taj Boyd, Deshaun Watson, Trevor Lawrence, it's hit a bit of a bump recently. But I think that was sort of a blueprint because you knew if you did elite quarterback after elite quarterback after elite quarterback, there's a good chance that you're going to have an unhappy room, right? Only one guy can play. It's not like other positions. So, but now that's changed because they can leave, because you can go and add if you need to, like Ohio State did last year. You can swing for the fences on guys. You can load that room up. And, you just listed the quarterback room. Aaron Nolan was one of the top quarterbacks in the country, too. And, Julian Sane had no issue coming in. Obviously, Aaron Nolan leaves. We'll see what happens at South Carolina. But, the world has changed in terms of the way you can build that room, how you handle it. There's also the NIL component, too, right? How do you pay these quarterbacks? How do you rank that? I think that's going to be a continued conversation because we know in the NFL, those are some of the highest paid guys, right? So how do you handle that going forward will be interesting.
There is one more recruit that the Buckeyes missed on this past week, but it's kind of weird because I think everybody missed on him. We'll get into that next. See you on the other side. Fan Sports Saturday in the Fan.
Tweet from a listener. Are you carrying the Buckeye game today? Considering we've never not carried one, yes. The answer is yes. The Fan.
At Kroger, you never compromise. You get high quality and low prices. Like you never compromise your meal with our spring salad mix that's guaranteed fresh. And you never compromise your budget with lower prices on over 1,000 items. Hand it to Kroger shoppers. You never compromise. Kroger. Fresh for everyone.
Save on select bags of Doritos, Cheetos, or Tostitos. Mix and match your favorite flavors and buy 2, get 3 free with your card. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Lanny went to college and racked up huge debt.
A little bit over $100,000.
For a degree he couldn't use? Now what?
I had a friend that went to my computer career.
They even helped him get hired immediately after graduation.
One of the things I love about IT is that you can work from anywhere you want.
You could become an IT pro in just months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI with zero experience at mycomputercareer.edu.
It worked for me, and I know it can work for you.
This is one student's experience. Individual results vary.
The big one is back. The Buckeyes 27th Summit Racing Nationals presented by PPG. July 11th through the 13th at the Ohio Expo Center in Columbus. Over 6,000 of the nation's baddest hot rods, muscle cars, and trick trucks. Don't miss good guys autocross racing action. A tire-smoking burnout competition. A pro street takeover. Earth-shaking nitro thunderfest. Meet the top builders in the industry and more. July 11th through the 13th at the Ohio Expo Center. Details at good-guys.com.
We can come the day you call us.
We're 1-800-GOT-JUNK.
We make junk disappear. All you have to do is point.
Brian, I've been meaning to ask you something.
Okay, ask away.
Sometimes when we're talking, I hear a little sparkling sound.
Is it when one of us says, all you have to do is point?
There it is. Did you hear that?
That's the sound of magic happening.
Magic? Like we can come the day you call us? Wow.
Call 1-800-GOT-JUNK or visit 1-800-GOT-JUNK.com.
Get Eco.
ECO.
Hey, Aaron, guess what we're getting ready to celebrate?
America's birthday?
That's right. How did you guess?
Well, you're dressed like Yankee Doodle, and you're wearing a tri-corner hat, and you've got a snare drum.
Get Eco. G-E-T-E-C-O. Get Eco. They can really go. Get Eco. For your Cinco. Fix in a blinko. You'll thinko. Hooray. Get Eco. G-E-T-E-C-O. Get Eco. You'll be cool like snow. Get Eco. Like an ice Ringo. Puerto Rico. Get Eco today. Huh? What do you think?
Jerry, are you suggesting that Puerto Rico become the 51st state?
I could invent a brand new 51-star flag.
Get Eco.
ECO.
Eco plumbers, electricians, and HVAC technicians.
Have a safe 4th of July, everyone.
Bishop and Friends.
He wants like the store-bought pumpkin pie. He doesn't want the
doesn't want the hydrogenated oils.
Can't you just buy the pumpkin pie filling?
The puree?
Bishop and Friends, sponsored by Diamond Seller.
Weekdays from 9 to noon on The Fan.
Used car prices are sky high. Families paying top dollar today. Don't waste time selling it yourself. Any car, any truck, any year, we want it now. No games, no waiting, just cash. Get to Valley before the market drops.
ValleySuperstore.com. This 4th of July, Bob's Discount Furniture is bringing back 4 for the 4th. Spotlighting 4 must-have trendsetters for $7.99 and under, like my farmhouse chic Calvin bedroom, Play-Day sectional with pop-up sleeper and hidden storage, Consumer Reports recommended treasure mattress, and my 5-star Betty dining set in 4 gorgeous colors. So stop in or visit mybobs.com and celebrate 4 for the 4th. Oh, my Bob!
Bob's Discount Furniture.
The Columbus Zoo invites you to follow the footsteps and the tales of animals from around the world. Explore our newest region, North America Trek. So what are you waiting for? Get your tail to our trails only at your Columbus Zoo.
Save big money now on siding at Menards. Update and beautify your home with your choice of 13 timeless colors of pre-finished LP Smart Side engineered siding. It's durable and includes a Sherwin-Williams machine-applied paint warranty that means no painting for years to come. Save big money today on all LP Smart Side products. Plus, check out our weekly flyer on Menards.com for all the great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
At Metal Supermarkets, we're all about getting you and your crew to quit in time sooner. That's why our service is a cut above. You see, no matter the project, we'll get you to the right metal, shape, and grade. Cut to any size, ready real fast. And yeah, we'll deliver, leaving plenty of time for the important things, like opening an ice-cold can of aluminum. Metal Supermarkets, the convenience store for metal.
Want to know anything about the Fans contest, how to win, or what's up for grabs? Check out 971thefan.com. The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
Sports talk, weekend style. You're listening to Fan Sports Saturday.
Cole Bartemes, Pat Murphy, Nate Puderbaugh. We were talking Buckeye recruiting in the last segment. They've been rolling in. A couple other guys have they gotten over the past week, it looks like. Cam Brinkle, defensive lineman. I believe he goes to IMG. They got Damari Simeon, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, out of Joyzy. And about a week and a half ago, they got Aaron Thomas, an offensive lineman out of Arizona. And so as the class stacks up, we got basically almost a full class. They only got 3 defensive backs. So that might be something where they would want to expand a little bit. I mean, everybody runs 5. So if you think about it, of just being, what's your starting 11 on offense, starting 11 on defense, and then, maybe a bonus piece here or there, they're not missing much. They got a few D linemen. Maybe you can add another one, maybe like an edge or something like that. A couple defensive backs, but you're loaded at receiver. You got 4 already.
Yeah, and there's another one out there that they would like to add to the class, depending on how things go. I think defensive line is probably where they'd still like to hit. They have recently, as you mentioned, gotten a couple guys, but that's always an area, as anyone who watches the game knows, the trenches, right? You've got to hit on those guys. And so I think offensive line, they've done a pretty good job. Credit to Tyler Bowen and his sort of change in approach from Justin Fry, who I think did an underrated job during his time at Ohio State. Look at last year and the offensive line situation that the Buckeyes went through. But the defensive line, I think you could still add, especially if you could find an elite, especially interior guy. I think they would very much like to put a bow on the class with something there.
So I think that this KJ Ford character is an edge. He's down from Duncanville, Texas, so the Dallas area. Dallas being one of the big 4 recruiting hotbeds in America, along with Miami, Atlanta, and Los Angeles. Those are the big 4. And he is down to Ohio State, Florida, and Texas A&M. I believe KJ Ford is someone who just recently, like at the last minute, notched an Ohio State official visit. I think there was something with his scheduling of his OVs where he wasn't expected to go to Ohio State and ended up coming here, and now Ohio State's in his final 3, so he's going to be an option. They did miss out on Carter Meadows out of Washington, D.C. He ended up going with Michigan. By the way, I don't know if you saw, Jeremiah Smith made some news this week regarding Michigan.
Yeah, we talked about it on Thursday.
His quote, "I didn't want to go to Ohio State and lose to that team up north. I just hate them. Something about them for the next 2 years. I promise you, I will not lose to them. I can't lose to them in the next 2 years." And, of course, the takeaway from that is Jeremiah Smith just declared for the 2027 NFL Draft.
What's interesting, though, is he also mentioned in that wanting to win the next 2 or 3 years, which is something he said after the national championship game, too. But, yeah, I think we can bookmark Jeremiah Smith going into the draft as soon as he's able.
Perhaps. Maybe, just maybe. Being one of the most highly regarded players in college football as a true freshman usually lends itself to that. But... if you wanted to be a little bit funny about it, if you're an Ohio State fan, you can go, so if you lose to them the next 2 years, are you saying you will come back? Like you hate them so much that you'll come back for a 4th year just to beat them? I don't think that would happen. See what happened with Marvin Harrison Jr. when so many people, basically everybody came back except him. Yeah. That game, I remember heading into that Missouri Cotton Bowl game. We, because I was in St. Louis at the time, and so we were kind of covering the Missouri angle of it. And I remember just like the build up to that game is who's going to play for this game in Ohio State, because they had a bunch of people, and you just saw a bunch of people get drafted. Right. But you had 7 or 8 guys get drafted in the top 50 this year. All of those guys were kind of like, will they or won't they? And then, lo and behold, the one who doesn't play is Marvin Harrison Jr., who goes 4th overall. And so, I've heard a lot of people around here talk about, Jeremiah Smith's going to be the number 1 pick when he comes out. No, okay? There is a position bias that takes place. There is a position totem pole, and quarterback is at the top of it. Give Marvin Harrison Jr. credit, because he was the first non-quarterback drafted. So I think that's the standard when Jeremiah Smith comes out, is just be the number 1 non-quarterback, whether that's 2, 3, 4, whatever the case may be, that's fine. But, yeah, I imagine that no matter what happens these next 2 years, even if they lose to Michigan, that a lot of other people may be inspired by that and come back and say, man, I just got to get Michigan. I don't imagine it's going to be Jeremiah Smith.
Right. And if you think back a few years, C.J. Stroud went up to the deadline before he announced he was leaving, if you remember this.
Yeah.
Literally, like, the last day he could announce, or that guys underclassmen could declare, he did. And there was a lot of, unfinished business, be it Michigan, be it Big Ten championships, be it national championships. And from everything I understand, like, there was some real consideration to, do I run it back one more year? Things like that. We saw it with Chris Olave. Obviously, a little bit different situation for Olave. He decided to come back. But for the most part, I think the appeal of the NFL is too much to pass up for those type of guys. Now, different world with NIL. Obviously, Jeremiah Smith's doing pretty well for himself financially. So, I would say that I feel slightly more optimistic that you could see him play his senior year than I would have if this were a few years ago, but it is only slight.
Yeah, it's I'm going to go 0.1.
Yeah.
It's not 0, but it's definitely not anything much greater than that. In fact, I think injury would probably be the biggest factor. If for some reason he had like a brutal injury and he didn't want to go 20th overall and wanted to protect his top 5 status, like that would be like the only thing that I could possibly think that would really affect what he's going to do in the draft. There are a few guys, in fact. Ryan Williams, I can assure you, is probably going to come out after his true junior season. Dylan Stewart at South Carolina, he is a very popular name. He is probably going to come out after his true junior season. And so if you're in any dynasty fantasy leagues, I've already had people in my league trading away 2027 draft picks in anticipation of having the opportunity to draft Jeremiah Smith. So he's a big-time priority. There was one commitment yesterday that threw everybody through a loop, and we got to talk about this and what this means for college football at large. Stick around. Cole Bartemes, Pat Murphy, Nate Puderbaugh, Fan Sports Saturday in the Fan.
We've been your Jackets flagship station since day one. All the goals, all the action, all the memories. Your home for the Columbus Blue Jackets, the Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Make your 4th of July a good deal better at Meijer. This week, a family pack of fresh from Meijer 80% lean ground beef is $2.49 a pound. Limit 3. Large seedless watermelons are at a great low price, and Americana apparel and accessories are 50% off. Plus, save a good deal more with hot deals on Meijer brand must-haves, like Meijer chips for $1.99 a bag, and Meijer brand hamburger and hot dog buns just $1.39. Shop Meijer and bring more fresh favorites to your backyard celebration. Exclusions apply. See all deals in the Meijer app.
Central Ohio contractors and homeowners, tired of overpriced, low-quality cabinets? Well, it's time to upgrade your cabinet game. 3D Cabinetry is your go-to for fast, hassle-free service and cabinets you can trust from order to install. 3D Cabinetry delivers fully assembled all-wood affordable cabinets. No delays, no stress. Just quality craftsmanship delivered on time every time. Get started with your free consultation today at 3dcabinetry.net. That's 3dcabinetry.net, where quality meets affordability and reliability.
Are you ready for the ultimate entertainment experience? It's all here, only with Spectrum TV Select. Popular apps are included: Disney Plus, Max, Peacock Premium, Paramount Plus, AMC Plus, and more. And live TV for sports, entertainment, and news. Enjoy across your devices no matter when or where you are. Get Spectrum TV Select and start streaming your favorites today. It's all here. Visit spectrum.com/entertainment. Restrictions apply.
Get summer blockbuster savings at Coughlin Kia, Central Ohio's largest volume Kia dealer. Right now, take up to $6,000 off MSRP on any new Kia in stock. Plus, get free maintenance for a full year when you buy. Get any new Kia with up to $6,000 off MSRP. Visit CoughlinKia.com.
Largest Kia dealer based on current ground stock at all 4 Coughlin Kia locations. 2025 Kia Sorento XY. MSRP $47,990. $3,000 Coughlin discount. $3,000 factory rebate. Residency restrictions may apply. See dealer for details. N7725.
Got one of those days that never stops? Try a stop at Speedway. Refresh your fuel tank. Refresh your U-tank with 69-cent large Big Gulp drinks. And refresh the vibe for any drive. Refresh at Speedway with 69-cent large Big Gulp drinks with Speedy Rewards, and try exclusive Mountain Dew Infinite Swirl flavor for a limited time only. The convenience stores of Speedway. Valid through 8/26/25. See app for full terms.
He shoots. He scores!
No matter your sport, it's a great time of year to be a fan. But the fun stops when you or a loved one can't control your gambling. At Maryhaven, we're here to help. Whether it's gambling, drugs, alcohol, or mental health, you don't have to go it alone. With in-person, virtual, and group options, Maryhaven meets you where you are. Always judgment-free. Go to maryhaven.com today. That's maryhaven.com.
Broadcasting from the Lindsay Honda Studios.
Honda makes the cars. Lindsay makes the difference. Visit lindsayhonda.com.
WBNS-FM, HD1 Columbus. The Fan. Sports Center.
And I'm Nate Pooterball. Last night in Philadelphia, the Reds beat the Phillies by a score of 9-6. Spencer Steer sparked a 5-run third inning with a 2-run RBI double. And reliever Tony Santillan struck out Alec Bohm with the bases loaded in the 8th to secure the win. With the win, Terry Francona moves just 4 wins away from 2,000 career wins. Game 2 of the series comes your way at 4:05 today with Nick Lodolo taking the mound for the Reds against Ranger Suarez. Catch the action immediately following Buckeye replay on the Fan. In Cleveland, the Tigers extended the Guardians' losing streak to 8 games, 2-1 on the back of homers by Wenzel Perez and Zach McKinstry. Game 2 of their series is tonight at 7:15. Logan Allen taking the mound for the Guardians against Casey Mizey. And at Wimbledon last night, world number 1 Arina Sabalenka advanced on the women's side yesterday over Emma Raducanu, who advanced to the round of 16. Breaking sports news when it happens on the Fan.
During weekend programming, pants are optional.
Look at my butt!
However, leather chairs may have been a bad choice. You're listening to Fan Sports Saturday.
Is it thrown for a loop or thrown through a loop?
For a loop.
For a loop. Okay, I butchered that heading into the break.
That's all right.
Cole Bartemes, longtime good friend Pat Murphy. Known him for many years. Featuring Nate Pooterball behind the glass. We've been talking recruiting for the last couple segments, and yesterday there was one that I think really turns people off. So Ohio State was in the running for a big-time offensive tackle commit out of Texas named Felix Ojo. If you follow recruiting, you know who he is. 5-star guy. He announced his Final Four of Ohio State, Michigan, Texas, and Florida. He announced that, I believe, 5 or 6 days leading into his July 4th commitment. Would you like to tell the people where he actually went to school? Again, Ohio State, Michigan, Texas, Florida.
Texas Tech.
Yeah, so he chose a school that wasn't even in his top 4.
Yep.
And so I guess the positive spin, if you wanted to be Felix Ojo's defense attorney, is, he was just having fun. He was just kind of throwing people off the trail. He was trying to, he didn't want like recruiting analysts picking up on it, even though they actually kind of did. But what probably happened here, if we wanted to be super cynical, is that he was leveraging, and, in fact, I mentioned Austin Ward was on Rothman and Ice on Thursday. I asked him about Felix Ojo's commitment because we were going ahead of, we were actually the show was leading into Luke Fahey's commitment, which actually, he turned out to be a Buckeye, as we discussed. But I asked him about Felix Ojo because I knew that he was a big 5-star tackle, and I know that Ohio State's got 4 offensive linemen in this class. And so what better way to round out the class than with a 5-star offensive tackle? So I asked him about Felix Ojo and what he's about because, he's been flirting with everybody a little bit. He has a lot to say about Ohio State after his visit here. He goes to Michigan and says, you know what? Michigan looks a little bit different now. I might be a Wolverine. And he's a Texas guy, so you knew that Texas was going to be in play. And then I asked Austin, I said, what do we know about Felix Ojo's recruitment? And he said, money. Money's a big priority for him. So we suspect that when a player, and he's far from the only one, there are some horror stories of the David Sanders recruitment, which, if you have any, feel free to join in. But I know that David Sanders committed the day after signing day. He didn't commit on signing day. He committed the day after signing day. Bells and whistles are going off everywhere. He was probably leveraging a bunch of deals against each other and trying to put Tennessee in a position with up their offer. They probably did.
Visited for the Michigan game. Visit Ohio State for the Michigan game. That was probably also a leverage play. The Felix Ojo thing's interesting because, and you can read about this, Mike Roach on our 24/7 Sports Network, if you're a 24/7 Sports subscriber, had a good story about this, and I'll read part of it. First of all, Ojo told Mike that Texas Tech was his second ever offer, and the staff has been communicating every day since. He said, quote, "I've known for about a month and a half, but I've just been keeping it quiet and secret. Texas Tech really got it done for my parents in the official visit, and they got me after taking the time to sit and think about the opportunity they are giving me." So I think there's two ways to look at it, as you were saying.
Opportunity is a weird way to mispronounce money.
Yes,
but thank
money.
you.
Let's not discount that. Money was definitely a factor here. I think all parties knew that going in, Ohio State included. I think that Texas Tech did a good job here of handling the situation. Obviously, they sort of came in late by all accounts with some big offer. But I also think it's interesting because how often do we have a commitment where people react like this? Are like, oh, wow, anymore. Everyone knows, right? Almost every kid that commits, you know where he's going when he announces. And there's very little secrets. There's crystal balls. There's expert predictions, all that, and it gets out, right? So I think while this is definitely a money play, and like, fine, go get your money. I get it. I also think it's kind of cool to have a throwback commitment where people were expecting one thing and got something different. We just don't see that very often anymore.
Yeah, and I'll definitely give credit to that. The only thing that like kind of undercuts that a little bit is that very shortly after the announcement was made that he was going to Texas Tech, and there was one recruiting analyst the day before who
it did start to get a little bit.
He made the prediction that he's going to Texas Tech, and then it's just like, oh, I mean, really? Like, if he was trying to be kind of sneaky and surprising, like there is something to that. And I don't know if people watched the video. Felix Ojo said, "I'm going to Texas," put on a Texas cap, and then said, "Wait a minute,
I didn't see this.
I'm going to Texas Tech." And then mom reaches out from underneath the table, brings out the Texas Tech hat, whatever. But the report, like immediately following the commitment, and this was all through Hayes Fawcett, who is like the guy on social media who breaks all this news because he makes the graphics for On 3. But immediately following the announcement that he was committing to Texas Tech, there was a follow-up post. 5-star offensive tackle Felix Ojo will join Texas Tech on a fully guaranteed 3-year, $5.1 million deal per his agent. That's disgusting. However, the thing that is kind of putting me a little bit in the middle on this one, fully guaranteed. I got to imagine that if you are fully guaranteeing some sort of NIL deal or whatever it is at this point, it may not even be NIL it may just be like a flat out salary, which whatever. It's not, the NIL is not the stuff that really bogs me down, because the reality is that we have no way of knowing for sure who would have committed where if money didn't exist. Right. Like, we can see, guys, when your Final Four is Miami and Texas A&M and Oregon and, whatever, well, we know. You're telling the entire world that money is one of the biggest variables in all of this. So I get that. But the transfer portal is a thing that definitively makes it really ugly for people, is when you have a starting job at a school that you allegedly cared about but didn't care about them enough to stay. That's the part that really bothers fans, I think, more so than the money. The money is just a recruiting tool to get people into the portal, which is the real problem. But fully guaranteed, I got to imagine if you're putting the language of fully guaranteed attached to that deal, is that able to block you from transferring? Because what's the stop if it doesn't? What's to stop him from collecting that check on as it says, fully guaranteed, fully, not like if he stays, fully guaranteed, taking that check and then taking another check from someone else and just collecting checks everywhere?
This is going to be something we're going to run into here in the future in college athletics. I would assume that the deal that he signs has some sort of stipulation. If you do enter the transfer portal after next season, after whatever, you have to pay back some of it. Something
sounds like baseball. We got opt-outs.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you're going to see guys having to pay back some money. We've even seen that with schools threatening when kids flip commitments. Okay, well, you already signed something with this collective, right? Even before you enroll. And so it's going to be really interesting because there are a lot of unknowns still with this. And that is a big one. If you're going to sign a fully guaranteed 3-year contract, I think that that could be dangerous for not only the player, because you better know what you're signing and what everything says in there, but also for the school. How does this all work? We haven't gone down this road. It's not like we have a history here of, okay, this is how this all plays out, right? So it's a dangerous game you're playing to do something like that, and we'll see how this works out on both sides.
And I couldn't help but laugh a little bit also at the 3-year deal.
Yeah.
Basically, again, this is the whole, I'll be spending the next 3 years at whichever school, basically declaring himself for the draft already.
Or 3 years with an option.
Oh, yeah, 3 years with the player option. And you know what? If he redshirts his freshman year, then he has a 2-year player option as well, because if he wants to come back for his 5th year. But I think this is something that kind of deters people from enjoying recruiting because... And look, we're never going to stop watching college football. So I'm not going full doomsday here because on Saturdays in the fall, are you going to be watching Seinfeld reruns? Are you going to be watching Shawshank for the 900th time? No. You're going to have your TV turned on to football because you're going to enjoy it. And then, you know, as the story of the fall goes, I know the fall, especially in this line of work, it feels like it goes by like that.
Yep.
So it speeds through. But there are 12 regular season games plus a playoff, so you can kind of eventually, you spend those first few games just getting used to who's on your roster. And even for Ohio State, like Ohio State doesn't have a gigantic issue of losing guys at the transfer portal, but they also just lost a bunch of guys to the draft. Right. So those first few games for a lot of Buckeye fans are going to be spent just figuring out, all right, who the hell is playing which position? Just because it's a bunch of young guys who were kind of rotational pieces. So that's something that is worth considering. But joining Texas Tech, one other thought that I had on this. Is there still hope for the Power 4 to stay the Power 4 and not just become a Power 2? Because off the top of my head, I could come up with 4 guys. Felix Ojo, now at Texas Tech. Jackson Cantwell, who Ohio State was a finalist for, went to Miami. Keyshawn Henderson, who is a quarterback from Houston, a 5-star guy who is going to Houston, which is a little bit unique, and Ryder Lyons, who chose BYU over Oregon. So those are 4 guys at the top of my head who are going to ACC and Big 12 schools, and I guarantee you Clemson's got somebody. Yeah. So I'm not saying that the total collective of all of the recruits are going to balance out between the conferences, but when you have situations where the college football playoff is flirting with the idea of, you know, guaranteeing the Big 10 4 and the SEC 4 and, you know, Big 12 and ACC, you only get 2. Is there any hope whatsoever to keep the Power 4? And really, there's no official way to do it. It's just the way that we talk about it.
Right.
To keep it the Power 4 instead of just being, oh, it's just a Power 2 now, and we're just waiting for Clemson to join the SEC, and then everything's going to dissolve.
Right. And I was going to say, I think it depends on what happens in the future with schools like Clemson. And do they leave, you know, Florida State? There's been a lot of talk them trying to get out of the ACC, right? You need some of the power programs to remain in those conferences to keep those conferences relevant. You know, you can't have what we saw last year with Texas and Oklahoma leaving for the SEC, Oregon, USC, UCLA, Washington all coming to the Big Ten. That's how you build 2 power conferences, right? And look, good for people in Columbus, good for Big Ten, good for SEC. Is it the best thing for college sports in general? Probably not.
All right, a couple more thoughts on this on the other side. Also, ESPN had their B-teamers going, and they were working yesterday. And hey, we got our B-teamers working today.
Proud to be here.
Yeah, exactly. Bartemes, Pat Murphy, Nate Puderbaugh, Fan Sports Saturday, right here on The Fan.
Winners of the prestigious Platinum Microphone Award every year, given to the best radio station in the world. No need to look it up. It's real. The Fan.
Summer is hot, sticky, and buggy. But Modelo is cold, crisp, and smooth. When you're sweating through your shirt and the beach is mad crowded, the lime and salt flavors of a Modelo Chelada hit just right. When the weather's perfect but you're still at work, it's time to clock out and stock up on Modelo. Drink responsibly. Beer and flavored beer imported by Crown Imports, Chicago, Illinois.
Hi, this is Bob Masheter from Dick Masheter Ford. Thank you to all of Central Ohio as we head towards 60 years of doing business in the Buckeye State. Dad opened up in 1967 simply trying to offer a better way to buy a car, and we've been working ever since to serve our neighbors. We have served you through wars, recessions, and even a Chinese virus. Here is to serving you and your kids and your grandkids for the next 60 years, except on Sundays when we're closed, because it's the right thing to do. Still 24/7 at masheterford.net. Thanks.
This 4th of July, Bob's Discount Furniture is bringing back 4 for the 4th. Spotlighting 4 must-have trendsetters for $7.99 and under, like my farmhouse chic Calvin bedroom. Play-Day sectional with pop-up sleeper and hidden storage. Consumer Reports recommended treasure mattress. And my 5-star Betty dining set in 4 gorgeous colors. So stop in or visit mybobs.com and celebrate 4 for the 4th.
Oh, my Bob!
Bob's Discount Furniture.
1877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car can be picked up as soon as the next day. Receive a tax deduction and vacation voucher.
1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Hey, what's up? It's T-Bone for Window Nation. Did you know their co-founders are Ohio natives? Yeah. Window Nation has been replacing windows in the Columbus region for over 15 years. Not only does Window Nation know what windows work best for Ohio homeowners like you, they're also local to the area. And right now, you can take advantage of Window Nation's biggest sale of the year. Get 50% off all window styles, plus 0 interest for 5 whole years. You heard that right. With Window Nation, you won't pay any interest until 2030. Plus, they'll install your new windows in 1 day or less, so you can get back to your daily routine right away. Personally, I wouldn't procrastinate. You don't want to wait on this deal. It's a trustworthy company like Window Nation, getting your windows in 1 day or less. 50% off all window styles now, plus 0 interest until 2030 with Window Nation. Call them up, 866-90NATION, or visit windownation.com to get your free quote on replacement windows. 866-90NATION or windownation.com. And tell them T-Bone sent you.
After an audit of our programming, the suits here at the Fan decided we needed more baseball. And that common man is stupid. Good news, we fixed one of those problems. Catch the Reds on the Fan all season long. Yay, baseball!
When an orthopedic injury or condition gets in the way of life, there is nothing more important than finding a physician you can trust. At Orthopedic One, you'll find Central Ohio's most trusted team of orthopedic experts, ready to listen to your concerns and work with you toward the best possible outcome. In fact, more people trust Orthopedic One than any other practice in Central Ohio. Start with the specialists. Start with orthopedic1.com.
Working your way through that honey-do list? That means more flushes, more showers, more fiddling with a thermostat. Trust the pros at the Waterworks with your plumbing and drain cleanings and repairs and all your heating and cooling needs. Our certified pros can repair or replace your furnace or air conditioner. Clogs? Call the Waterworks. Drain cleaning? Call the Waterworks. Plumbing issues? Call the Waterworks. Furnace repairs? Call the Waterworks. The Waterworks. Trusted neighborhood plumbing, drain, heating, and cooling experts.
Cool cars, cool people, good time. It's the biggest and best hot rodding event of the year. The Good Guys 27th Summit Racing Nationals presented by PPG. July 11th through the 13th at the Ohio Expo Center in Columbus. Over 6,000 classics from across the USA. Shop the swap meet at Huge Fender Midway. See which rides take home the crown of the 2025 Classic Instrument Street Rods and PPG Street Machine of the Year. July 11th through the 13th at the Ohio Expo Center. Details at good-guys.com.
I can't wait to meet her. Oh my gosh.
Put your hands together for new Dr. Pepper Blackberry and Dr. Pepper Blackberry Zero Sugar.
There she is! Woohoo! Yeah! It's full Dr. Pepper!
With sweet blackberry flavor!
Dr. Pepper Blackberry, I'm obsessed with your succulent taste. Please marry me!
No! Marry me! Marry me, or I'm gonna freak out!
Try new Dr. Pepper Blackberry.
It's a pepper thing!
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Aaron White with your 10 weather impact forecast here for today on your Saturday. We're tracking sunshine this afternoon with highs into the mid-90s. Highs around 93 degrees, but we're up to 94 here on your Sunday. There will be humidity around, making it feel even hotter as heat index values reach the mid to upper 90s. So stay cool and stay hydrated here as we go through the rest of our holiday weekend. We are tracking some cooler weather, but also showers and storms back to the forecast here, looking ahead to Monday. And that's your 10 weather impact forecast here on 97.1 The Fan.
Matty Ice has a large tattoo on his calf of LeBron eating a lion. I have nothing else to say. Rothman and Ice.
Weekdays from noon to 3.
The Fan. Live, local, and still slightly drunk.
I'm not drunk, all right? I just have a speech impediment.
This is Fan Sports Saturday.
Cole Bartemes, Pat Murphy, Nate Puderbaugh. I keep reminding you at the top of every segment because... What are we
no one knows who the hell we are.
No. Well,
yes.
I mean, Pat has a following. You and I, we're trying to build up our careers here.
No.
But
we're here for a reason.
Well, Fan Sports Saturday, first of all, was Eric Reeser and Tyvis Powell. Then Tyvis Powell became a full-time member of the station on the morning show, T-Bone and Tyvis, 6 to 9 a.m., Monday through Friday. And then it kind of just became like a whoever's available type thing. Like I think I'm on Fan Sports Saturday the next 3 Saturdays or something like that with a different host every time. But it's exciting because you get to interact with other personalities and test out different chemistries and stuff like that. But, hey, it's July 5th. It's a Saturday morning. If people don't want to work the day after the 4th of July, I got to be honest, I can't entirely blame you. So there may be some finagling of the schedule that led to this. But, hey, it's an opportunity, Nate.
Sure, that's how we'll look at it.
No, I meant that seriously.
Yeah.
Hold on. That sounded sarcastically. If the bosses are listening, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just so you know. But everybody have a good time on 4th of July. I know that you, Pat, were in Upper Arlington checking out parades and stuff.
Yeah, we did parade. We did. We have some places we stopped by, see some friends, and then a buddy of mine and his wife had a nice little cookout last night. So real good 4th. We did not go see the fireworks. Usually we walk over to see the fireworks.
I feel like that's sacrilege.
But yeah. Normally we walk. It's because the park that in Upper Arlington where they do the fireworks, there's not a lot of parking. So you either have to get there really early or you've basically got to walk. And it was like a 45-minute walk. And at that point we were like, A
45-minute walk?
Yeah, it's a bit of a hike. We're in very south Upper Arlington, and the fireworks are more central.
Okay.
So we skipped them this year. It was not my favorite thing, but I was given the final call, and I was like, "Look, let's just hang out. We're having a good time."
All right. Well, hey,
we heard them. We could hear them.
There you go. Nate, you do anything fun last night?
I worked half the day, had a couple of drinks with friends, and then lived vicariously through people in Wales watching the Oasis concert reunion show on YouTube.
Oh, Adam. Should we have Adam Jardy call in?
Hey, I think he's on a plane back at this point.
I should have. I got his number. I should have booked him. I mean, he'd be like, "Who are you?" But
he knows who I am.
Yeah,
he's well aware of who I am.
There you go. Okay, so what was the deal? Like the two brothers?
Yep.
Adam and Andy. Yeah. They haven't played a show in 17 years, so it was a big deal yesterday.
Wait, who's named Adam and Andy? The Jardy brothers?
The Jardy brothers went to, Oasis brothers.
They went to Cardiff to go see Oasis reunite.
Who are also brothers.
Are their names Adam and Andy?
No.
Oh, okay. So what's like the brothers had a falling out, but now that... Wait, did people know heading into this concert that they were going to rejoin?
Yes, yeah.
Oh.
And everyone went because they weren't sure they were going to continue to play after the show.
Oh, so this is like a one-night only sort of thing.
No, they're on a world tour, but...
Wait, what?
Yeah, no, They literally broke up 17 years ago right before a festival, like an hour before they were supposed to go on stage.
Oh, no.
And they have always had a little bit of a combative relationship. So the joke has been, it's like, well, you better go to this show because there might not be a second one.
Okay, but like this whole tour is that?
Yes.
Okay.
They're back. And they hugged at the end of the show, apparently, according to Adam's tweets.
Oh, he was very excited about it. I was actually enjoying it.
Yeah.
I only know one Oasis song, Little by Little, but...
You don't know Wonderwall?
Oh, okay.
Don't Look Back in Anger?
Yep, that's
it. You know what? I think I do know that one as well. Is that like the... Or is that
That's
Wonderwall.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we're on the same page now. I hung out with friends. You know, when you work the morning after... on 4th of July,
right.
Even if it is a Saturday morning, like you can only get after it so much. And so I didn't, because I'm kind of like an all or nothing guy when it comes to that. I don't drink for the taste. There's just, I'll save myself the calories too. Not to be like full Matty Ice about it, but like, I don't need the calories. So I had with me being the one who wasn't drinking last night, I had probably like the shortest level of annoyance, meaning like, my friends could like do whatever and they were gonna have a good time, and I was just like, you're getting on my nerves. I have every excuse to leave right now, and I'm gonna take it.
There you go.
But no, we actually had a good time last night. I did have one friend who was like kind of getting in that mode where like I didn't think that he was gonna fight somebody, but he was talking like he wanted to, and I'm just like, dude, stop. Like, who are you kidding right now? So I know that you had the segment with Tim on the Buckeye show. Was it
Beers and Buckeyes?
Beers and Buckeyes. So I know that's your bag, but I'm kind of all or nothing with that. And when you work the next morning, I'm a nothing on that. So didn't do anything too exciting. We did have a family get together on whatever day would have been July. So Wednesday would have been July 2nd, because we had some family come into town and was like passing through. And so we kind of just took the 4th of July plans and bumped them up to Wednesday, which we had a pretty good turnout for a Wednesday night. So we did have a good time. You said something in the last segment that kind of intrigued me a little bit about what happens in college football. And we were talking about how do we keep the Power 4 the Power 4? How do we stop it from just being a Power 2? And I almost wonder that if we get to the point where we do, in like not in any sort of official capacity, but just speaking about the way that we talk about college football, and the terminology we use, if we do get to a Power 2, what would that look like? And the first domino that would fall, or one of the first two dominoes that would fall, would probably be Clemson and Florida State leaving the ACC. And so that would probably get to a point, I think, where you have the two mega conferences that everybody's been talking about forever, where everybody's got at least, and when I say everybody, I mean the Big Ten and the SEC, where they have minimum 20 teams in their conference, and they're already pushing that. But I wonder if that would almost like, the more things change, the more they stay the same, where it would reverse course so hard, especially now that everything's like a national conference. You got you are literally coast to coast in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Maryland all the way down to Southern California and up the West Coast border up to Oregon and Washington, where it's like, okay, you have these massive conferences, and then within these conferences, you have divisions that basically just function like mini conferences. And then, like, let's say you have a 24-team conference. You have 4 divisions of 8, and so that kind of just reverses course and goes right back to where we were.
Yeah.
So do you see that as a possibility where it's almost like this is all to do about nothing, and it's all just like the issue is just who is leading these conferences, even though they're going to function like what they used to in like 2007?
Right. I mean, I guess the one thing that changes is who you're playing most regularly, right? If take the Big Ten, if you're adding a few more teams, pick your teams. Okay, what are the divisions? Who is it that, are you playing Penn State, Michigan, does it revert back to basically what it was, and you're now playing those same teams more frequently? Are you bouncing around and going out west like it is now, where at least once a year you're headed out to see some of the former Pac-12 teams? But yeah, I mean, I think we're headed to an NFL-like model where you're going to have divisions, assuming we go to a Big 2, you're going to have these divisions, and it's going to look a lot like the pros in all aspects. We're talking NFL and transfer portal earlier, or NIL and transfer portal earlier. So, I do think it will kind of it will find its balance, and it may end up looking similarly, even if you're calling it something different than what we knew in the past.
Yeah, I mean, how far are we from, Stanford and Utah joining the Big Ten, and you basically just have the Pac-12 playing each other regardless?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so the downside of that would be that there would be some rivalry sacrifice from that. Not many, because our whole point is that, like, again, we'll just use the number 24 because that's easy to count. And I think I said 4 of 8, which is 32. It would be 4 of 6. But if you have divisions of 6 teams, you would be able to preserve a lot of rivalries, because let's just take the Big Ten, okay? You got, 18 now? You got 4 on the West Coast. If it got to the point where you had divisions of 6, I guarantee you Washington, Oregon, UCLA, and USC would all be together.
Right.
That would feel like the Pac-12 or the Pac-10 or the Pac-8, depending on how old you are. So that would get to a point where it would feel familiar. There would be some rivalry sacrifice, and that would suck, obviously. But I guess it would depend on who it was. And the point that I don't want to get to, I don't want it to get to be like what baseball used to be, where like the American League and the National League literally did not face each other. So I don't want it to be like we have a gigantic Big Ten, Big 24, and we have a gigantic SEC. And those two conferences are not allowed to play each other. Like, you can only play your entire division, and then all of your out-of-division games would still have to be in conference, and you wouldn't have, like, a North versus South.
Right.
I wouldn't want to be disallowed. It would still be rare, even if it did happen, just based on the way the schedules would probably work. But I wouldn't want to be like, oh, you're not even allowed to play those other teams until the championship game.
Right. I mean, you think about Ohio State, Texas to start off this year, right? That's a game everyone's looking forward to. You know, take away the fact that they just played in the College Football Playoff semifinal. That's a game that, okay, that's exciting. These two teams are going to play here in Columbus. Then next year we'll play in Austin. I don't think you want to lose that ability to do that. Super conferences or not, I think these marquee non-conference games are good. And then the OUs, the MAC teams, like, that's how they fund their athletic departments is games like that, right? So those schools, you know, we're just talking the top of the sport, right? But those schools need these type of games, even if, you know, you go and you get your butt kicked to survive. And so, again, I think you can't lose sight of some of the things that have made college athletics and college football in particular the what it is right now.
And I think with the rivalry thing, it won't be as big a deal. Like, okay, say the Big Ten expands to more teams on the West Coast, and to make it work, you have to throw Nebraska over there. Who's Nebraska feuding with in the Big Ten, really, anyways?
Iowa.
You know, North Carolina, Duke, Clemson come over to the Big Ten. Who's Rutgers feuding with in the Big Ten?
Yeah. Maryland, I guess. I don't know. But, and think about what the Big 12 used to be, and we'll hit a break here real shortly. But, you know, Colorado, they're way out there, and they had to travel down to Texas probably like 5 times a year.
Yeah.
So that's not a completely foreign concept. We'll be back in 2 minutes. He just won't go away. You may like it. I don't. Stick around. Fan Sports Saturday in the Fan.
Got one of those days that never stops? Try a stop at Speedway and refresh the vibe with 69-cent large Big Gulp drinks. Get 69-cent large Big Gulp drinks at Speedway with Speedy Rewards. The convenience stores of Speedway. Valid through 8/26/25. See app for full terms.
When it comes to your roofing, siding, or gutter needs, call Newman Roofing. 614-NEW-ROOF. NewmanRoofing.com.
Through Travis Manion Foundation's Operation Legacy service projects, veterans, families of the fallen, and inspired civilians across the country come together under the common cause to serve in honor of our nation's heroes. Service projects include city beautifications, planting memorial trees, volunteering at shelters, park cleanups, and more. Ask yourself, if not me, then who? And register for a project near you or as a virtual volunteer by visiting oplegacy.org.
Get Eco.
ECO. Hey, Aaron, guess what we're getting ready to celebrate?
America's birthday?
That's right. How did you guess?
Well, you're dressed like Yankee Doodle, and you're wearing a tri-corner hat, and you've got a snare drum.
Get Eco. G-E-T-E-C-O. Get Eco. They can really go. Get Eco. For your Cinco, fix and a Blinko, you'll thinko, hooray! Get Eco, G-E-T-E-C-O, get Eco. You'll be cool like snow, get Eco, like an ice Rinko. Puerto Rico, get Eco today. Huh? What do you think?
Jerry, are you suggesting that Puerto Rico become the 51st state?
I could invent a brand new 51-star flag.
Get Eco.
ECO.
Eco plumbers, electricians, and HVAC technicians.
Have a safe 4th of July, everyone.
Here's a quick 10-second reminder that the Buckeyes have won the Natty. Also, we air all the games, and we always will. Thank you. Your home of the Buckeyes, the Fan. Garnish your Bloody Mary with sports talk. You're listening to Fan Sports Saturday.
Fan Sports Saturday, 97.1. Cole Bartemes, Pat Murphy, Nate Puderbaugh. Is two-step verification a good idea?
That's what I'm told. I guess I just believe it because people tell me that. I mean, I guess it makes more sense than one-step verification.
Yeah, but it's
Why do
also
you ask?
obnoxious as hell. Because I had to log into my Gmail and it had to text me.
Yes.
I get it. Email, that's something that you want to have protected. That's your private messages. Yeah. But it's just overbearing. And especially here, man. I get it. It's meant to be protective, but even here, in order to log into Audition, just to edit audio, we have to go through two-step verification.
Okay. Are you saying our computers don't necessarily remember us when we click remember me on this computer?
Yeah. Not all the time. And then it expires. There's two-step verification. So even when you hit Remember Me, it has an expiration date where you have to go through it all again. It's like, it's still me, hello. But I don't know. So ESPN was, they had a bunch of people who I did not recognize. Otherwise, I would give them credit for their work. But whoever was filling in for Molly Karam on First Take yesterday, great way to introduce her. Whoever it was, she put together her top 5 USA sports traditions in honor of the 4th of July. So number 1, she had last year's champion gifting this year's champion the green jacket at the Masters. I think that one's fair. I'm not the biggest golf guy in the world, but I do think it's cool to kind of bring somebody else along into it, and it's kind of like, welcome to the club now, you made it. Even though it is kind of weird, but they're like competing against one another, and then 2 seconds later, the guy who lost it has to, like, you know, put on his green jacket. All right, now I'm getting into character, and I'm congratulating the person who just beat me. Like, that's a little bit odd.
What if you win back-to-back?
I don't know.
Do you give yourself the green jacket?
I guarantee you that's happened before.
Sure it has.
Rothman, text me. If Rothman's listening to this, he definitely knows the answer to that. I don't know, because I'm just not golf guy enough.
Yeah.
My baseball swing, like I never could take that and just like drop it a little bit and turn it into a golf swing.
I gotcha.
I would love to be a golfer. Golf courses are aesthetic as hell. So, and it's cool to be out there in nature and probably hanging out with the guys.
Right.
Everybody probably sucks, but if everybody sucks, then everyone's having fun, as long as you don't have one guy who's like dominating the play. And so it seems like a great time, and I would love to do it, but I'm so bad that it destroys me. I have from, again, whoever this is, cutting down the nets in basketball. My issue with that one is that you do it like a million times, especially in high school. Like when you win your region or sectionals.
Right. Yeah,
or
it's way too vague.
Yeah, and so, like, obviously when you win the championship, cutting down the nets, also, that could take a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And so...
It does take a long time.
It's probably really cool if you're in it, but if you're, like, watching it and you're like, damn, this post-game celebration is going on, like, 35 minutes, and we got...
Post-game celebrations in general these days. I mean, think about NBA, NHL, last month when the Thunder and the Panthers won. Like, there's all the stuff on the court, and then they bring out the stage, they put the stage together, or even go back to Ohio State. I was at each of these games in the playoff, and Rose Bowl, Cotton Bowl, national championship game. They have to assemble the stages, they have to do all this, and like it's an hour plus of this stuff. And look, I mean, they're having a great time, and they should enjoy it and whatnot, but post-game championship things are just, it all takes a while. Cutting down the nets, though, I mean, there's that, and then they go lift a trophy, and you know, it's a lot. It's a lot.
You are so right about that. That is a great point, because they're trying to like preserve the bowl era a little bit, and so they have the college football playoffs, but then once you get past the opening round, once you have the final 8 teams, every game is a different bowl.
Yep.
And so you could have a team that's just going to lose the next week and have their season end in infamy, perhaps, like Penn State, for example. Penn State's season ended on, Drew Aller, like, going to, like, his 5th read in his progression and throwing an interception. But the week before that, they were up there. They were playing Boise State in the Fiesta Bowl, and were probably throwing Tostitos chips around, or whoever the sponsor is at this point. That was a very old reference. But whoever it is, like, yeah, it's kind of weird. Like, you go through this whole dog and pony show.
VRBO Fiesta.
Verbo
Fiesta.
Do we call that Verbo?
I don't know.
What do they do?
It's like Airbnb.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Number 3, they have the Lambeau Leap. I almost wonder if that's too specific.
Yeah.
Where that's like specific to one team.
Yeah.
You kind of have other teams come in there and try to like mock it a little bit.
And you do have other stadiums, you see people do similar things. And I think it's all been kind of looped in under that one name. But yes, I agree with you. That is one. There's only 2 end zones you can do that in the entire country.
Yeah. So we got that. Shout out Leroy Butler. At number 4, she has HBCU marching bands / halftime shows.
Those are nuts if you've never seen them. They put on a show. Like, there is, what was the movie Drumline with Nick Cannon?
Oh, yeah. I haven't seen it, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, there's a quote in there. It's all about that. And the quote is, for the band, halftime is game time. And that is so true if you've ever seen any of these performances. It's wild.
And they should feel that way, even though I don't think anybody else feels that way, but good for them because that is their time to shine.
Yeah.
And then at number 5, she has the 7th inning stretch. I really got to contest that one. I know that it's a tradition, but we do it like sarcastically and mockingly. I don't think anybody gets legitimately excited for the 7th inning stretch. I think we do it so we can make fun of it and like intentionally make fools of ourselves. I don't think that's one of the top 5 traditions. Now, do I have any good substitutes? Not really, because I looked up the definition of tradition just so we could be consistent here. A long-established custom or belief that has been passed on from one generation to another. Well, that could be a lot of things. I don't know. I think like if somebody from a foreign country were visiting America and said like, oh, like you guys got a lot of cool sports here, like what should I look forward to? I think the number one thing that you would probably say, even if you don't believe it for yourself, if you're just speaking on behalf of American sports, you would probably say the Super Bowl. But okay, I mean, that's a little bit vague. Like,
yeah, I'm not sure you're telling somebody to look out for the 7th inning stretch at a baseball game.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Nate, in or out on the 7th inning stretch?
It's a thing that happens. We sometimes sing "Take Me Out of the Ball Game," and most times I'm just going to the restroom.
Right.
There you go. And they have the lyrics on the screen and the ball's bouncing over which lyric you're on.
By the way, I pulled up
whatever.
We were talking about, you brought up Drew Aller throwing that interception. First of all, I pulled up his numbers. He had 135 passing yards in that loss, as you, I'm sure, are aware.
I'm pretty sure. I know what your next stat's going to be. 0
completions to a wide receiver.
Yeah.
Just insane.
Sorry,
that's very off topic.
No.
I'm just staring at the box score.
And it's interesting with Drew Aller, too.
But Drew Aller is definitely the best quarterback going into next year, guys.
Except Arch Manning.
Except for Arch.
Yeah, oh my God, dude. Don't even get me started on Arch Manning. And he may be great, and that's fine. All I'm telling you is anybody who is telling you right now that he's great has no clue. Because what? He beat Louisiana Monroe and Mississippi State. Mississippi State was the worst power conference school in college football last year. Like, there are a bunch of other guys. Hell, and I hate to give this guy any credit because he's on my S list right now. Nico Iamaleava, same recruiting class. At least he started last year. Arch Manning has been a backup to a quarterback who we don't even think is any good at this point.
He actually completed a college football playoff game despite getting cracked in the head.
Right.
Yeah. It didn't go well. They ran off the field, but at least he was a starter. Like, all we know about Arch Manning is his last name, and he might be awesome. And he kind of seems like an old school dude a little bit. There was those rumors that he was like, this is just stupid, that his grandfather wasn't even letting him collect NIL money until he was a starter, which I don't care who you are. I would tell my grandfather to kick rocks if he tried to get in the way of that. I don't even care if you were an NFL quarterback. But he seems like a decently likable guy, or at least he hasn't given us any reason to not like him. So I'm rooting for him. But now I'm kind of rooting against it. I'm at least rooting for him to not come out in this draft. I want him to come back for his senior year solely because the way that people talk about Arch Manning has gotten so out of control. But to your point about Drew Aller and just the quarterback class in general, I don't know about that either. Like, he's a very talented guy, of course, but he announced pre-playoffs that he was coming back to Penn State. Mm-hmm. He has a couple really good playoff games, and then I think everybody else kind of thought, oh, well, he's got to change his mind now, right? And then he has a bad game against Notre Dame where he only throws at Tyler Warren and checks down to his running backs. And then it's like, oh, no, you can go back to school.
He didn't throw for 200 yards in any of the 3 playoff games.
No.
171 yards was the most he threw for. And I actually like Drew Aller. I think some of the stats and things that we've thrown out are because they can't find a receiver. I mean, you're going to get a very banged up Julian Fleming, and I like Julian Fleming as your potential number 1 guy outside of Tyler Warren. That's problematic. They did add a receiver from the portal this offseason, but some of it has to do with that. I think Drew Aller has talent. Is he number 1 overall pick talent? I don't know. He's got the physical tools.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it all put together, but again, it's tough to do in an offense when you don't have guys to throw to.
Exactly. And I think he lost some receivers to the portal as well, and so who knows what they're going to look like next year. There was a part of me that wanted him to go just because I wanted to see Ethan Grunkmeyer, who's a local kid, who would have been, because Bo Pribula left. Mm-hmm. And that was a whole thing about the transfer portal and the windows.
Pre-playoff.
Exactly. So speaking of Missouri, he's going to be at Missouri now. But I wanted to see what Gronkmeyer could do. He did play against SMU a little bit. I don't think it went very well, but he's also, I think he was a true freshman this past year. Yes. So, who knows? But we will get into this. Again, I want to reiterate what I said at the top of the show. It takes a ton for me to want to talk about LeBron James whatsoever, just because that topic has been beaten to death by the national media for a decade.
I will talk about LeBron for you.
Okay, you'll talk about LeBron James. And yes, it does have a local connection. We're not doing GOAT debate. We're not doing any of that nonsense. Is he going back to the Cavs? This kind of seems more realistic than I thought it would. We'll talk about it next. Stick around, Fan Sports Saturday.
We have so many local shows, I can't fit them in a 10-second promo. So let's just say we're live and local all damn day. The Fan.
At United Dairy Farmers, peach is our most popular ice cream. Although it's only here for a short time, we sell more of it than any other flavor. And once you taste it, you'll know why it wins the popularity contest. We make it from scratch by mixing in the juice from our hand-selected peaches and big chunks of fruit. That's what gives it that unique peachier flavor. And that might also explain why peach season at UDF doesn't last long. UDF Peach Ice Cream, made for you.
Career changers, including veterans and active duty service members. Your transition starts here. Go from GI to IT in a matter of months. Become a certified cyber warrior with training at My Computer Career. Cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, offering IT pros great opportunities and a rewarding lifestyle while protecting our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. Deploy your career in IT today. Learn more at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP. SkillBridge and other VA benefits are available to those who qualify.
It's been a great run. Care Heating and Cooling has achieved goals I could only imagine 30 years ago. But now it's time for the next generation to take over. This is Mike Weens, now the retired founder of Care Heating and Cooling with my sons, Dennis and Ryan.
Dad, as Care grew over the years, you had many opportunities to sell Care to one of the big conglomerates that are buying companies all over Central Ohio. So tell our customers why you decided to keep Care in the family.
After talking about Care's values for over 30 years, I couldn't bear the thought of Care becoming the kind of company I was warning our customers about. I know the two of you will continue to treat our customers as I would, with honesty and integrity.
We will, Dad. In 2024, Care was awarded a BBB Torch Award for Ethics and was named the Lennox Partner of the Year. You don't earn those awards by leaving cat toys behind.
Call Care Heating and Cooling at 1-800-COOLING or schedule an appointment online at careheatingandcooling.com. When you need a company you can trust.
The big one is back. The Good Guys 27-7 Racing Nationals presented by PPG. July 11th through the 13th at the Ohio Expo Center in Columbus. Over 6,000 of the nation's baddest hot rods, muscle cars, and trick trucks. Don't miss Good Guys autocross racing action. A tire-smoking burnout competition. A pro street takeover. Earth-shaking Nitro Thunderfest. Meet the top builders in the industry and more. July 11th through the 13th at the Ohio Expo Center. Details at good-guys.com.
Road trip! This summer at Tire Discounters, your tires are your passport to savings, because you're driving to Paris,
Texas,
then it's off to Rome,
Georgia,
and you'll be kissing the Blarney Stone in Dublin,
Ohio!
Right now, save up to $494 when you buy 4 tires, and that includes a free alignment and oil change. Stop at Tire Discounters before you see the world.
If only there was a radio show that constantly talked about Ohio State athletics. Well, good news. It's real, baby. The Buckeye Show.
Weeknights at 6.
Proud to be your flagship home of the Buckeyes. The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
Used car prices are sky high. Valley's paying top dollar today. Don't waste time selling it yourself. Any car, any truck, any year, we want it now. No games, no waiting, just cash. Get to Valley before the market drops.
ValleySuperstore.com. Waddle, hop, or gallop your way to adventure. The Columbus Zoo invites you to follow the footsteps and the tails of animals from around the world. Explore 8 wild regions, including our newest North America trek. So what are you waiting for? Get your tail to our trails only at your Columbus Zoo. Get more information and tickets at columbuszoo.org.
At Kroger, you never compromise. You get high quality and low prices. Like you never compromise your meal with our spring salad mix that's guaranteed fresh. And you never compromise your budget with lower prices on over 1,000 items. Hand it to Kroger shoppers. You never compromise. Kroger. Fresh for everyone.
Right now, save on USDA Choice T-Bone Steaks. Just $9.99 a pound in the value pack with your digital coupon. Limit 5. Kroger. Fresh for everyone.
Get started on your painting project this summer and save big money at Menards. Rust-Oleum Stops Rust 5-in-1 spray paint lets you choose from 5 unique spray patterns with a twist of the dial, so you can get a professional, corrosion-resistant finish on every project. Save big money on Rust-Oleum spray paint now at Menards. Plus, check out our weekly flyer on Menards.com for all the great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
Sometimes I hear a sparkling sound.
Like when we say, all you have to do is point?
There it is.
That's the sound of magic happening.
Magic like we can come the day you call us? Wow.
Call 1-800-GOT-JUNK or visit 1-800-GOT-JUNK.com.
The Fan Guest Hotline is sponsored by Columbus, Worthington, Air, and Bryant. Doing whatever it takes to keep you and your home comfortable. The Fan.
We firmly believe it's appropriate to tailgate before a youth soccer game. You're listening to Fan Sports Saturday.
Cole Bartemes, Pat Murphy, Nate Puderbaugh. LeBron James opted into his $52.6 million player option for this upcoming season with the Lakers. However, it doesn't actually seem like he wants to play for the Lakers, much to Pat Murphy's dismay.
I would push back on that a little bit. I think...
Chagrin.
Yeah, that's a great word. Look, when LeBron went from the Cavs to the Lakers, he did so more on a lifestyle choice than a basketball choice. The Lakers had a young team at that point. It was Lonzo Ball. It was Brandon Ingram. It was that group that they were sort of building to. And then obviously when LeBron says he wants to play for you, you don't turn that down. But he wanted to live in Los Angeles. And even if you go back to the decision, there has been, and I don't know how much this got reported here, I follow the Lakers closely. There's been talk that had the Lakers had the ability at the time to sign guys like the Heat did, and that was the end of the Kobe Bryant era, that he would have considered them at that point in time. Again, he wants to live in LA. So I think that the if you haven't paid attention, he opts in, his agent puts out a statement that is both, I understand that we're building towards the future with Luka Doncic, who they acquired last year, but also basically I want to win now because I only have 1, maybe 2 years left.
You did a great job paraphrasing that.
Yeah, well, I've read it a bunch of times because it's in every Lakers article I've read over the last several days. But I think this is classic LeBron of putting pressure on a team. He knows he is no longer the guy that is the centerpiece of every decision the Lakers make. And at this point, he'll be 41 in December. I think that's understandable when you have a guy like Luka Doncic now on your roster. And so I think he is doing what he's done at every stop. He's trying to put pressure on them to make the moves to win this year as opposed to saving things for the future, which has led to the speculation of things like you've alluded to with the Cavs. He used to write for The Athletic. His name's Jovan Buha. He just left The Athletic. I think he does a fantastic job covering the Lakers. And he has said that there are 4 teams he could see LeBron going to. Cleveland, Golden State, because there's been flirtations in the past. New York as a big market team that he's talked about playing in the Garden and all that, though he has turned them down. And then the Mavericks.
Yeah,
right. The Mavericks, where his buddy Kyrie is. His buddy Anthony Davis is.
If you need a center, LeBron.
Yeah, right. And they have the ability to match. And that's the other thing is it would have to be a trade. LeBron has a no trade clause, so he can dictate wherever he wants to go if he does decide to ask for a trade, demand a trade. But the NBA has made it pretty difficult with the restrictions in terms of first apron, second apron. I won't go into all the details of all that. But the Cavs, for instance, are a second apron team. So they have to basically match salary like for like. So LeBron is, how much did you say the contract that they opted in for?
52.6.
Yeah, so they would you would basically be looking at like trading away. Let me pull up the Cavs roster. But you're basically giving up very key younger pieces to bring LeBron back. Is that worth it?
Exactly. So this is my question now. So Rich Paul, as you said, the Lakers LeBron wants to compete for a championship, and the Lakers are building for the future. But so is LeBron all in on competing for a championship, though? Because I'm thinking about it. I'm like, if he wanted to leave, why not just hit free agency?
Right.
And so the likely answer to that is because he doesn't think that he'll get $52.6 million. I mean, even on a one-year deal, and like, who knows? Because the money in the NBA at this point is so ridiculous that $52.6 million, that could be like a role player. Who knows? Like, the money is just so absurd, so it's hard to put that all in perspective.
Sure.
But the question is, why would you opt into a contract if you could have been a free agent and then just had everybody, hey, man, it's open season. Who am I meeting with? Where are we going? What are my options? The likely scenario is that it's for money. And so if you're trying to take as much money as you can, easy for me to say because I'm not in your position, why do you need to do that?
Yeah.
And so the question is it's not really a question, it's a statement. That doesn't help you win. You collecting as much money as possible is not the best way for you to win.
Right. And that was the talk leading into LeBron's decision of would he take less to help the Lakers now, which he did take a little bit less on the contract a year ago. He did not, and that's completely within his right to do. He has taken less in the past. There's been a long-standing speculation that he would like to buy an NBA franchise. I know the guy's worth $1 billion, but those things are expensive. You need money to be able to do that. So I don't think you can fault him doing that. But if you're going to take that money and then have a statement come out that says you want the team to do whatever it can to win, those two things don't jive necessarily. And so I think, look, the Lakers have made some moves. They can still make some trades. It'll be interesting to see. But if he's not happy going into the season, could he then, and that's why I think we really have the conversation of, is he going to go back to the Cavs? Will he say to the Lakers, I want to trade? Because in that case, if you're the Lakers, you want to keep the reputation of this team that has worked well with stars. I don't think you would, as much as you wouldn't want to move them, because you're not going to get like-for-like value. Like, you're probably looking at, if you do the Cavs, for instance, a Darius Garland and a Jared Allen and maybe one other contract in there.
But that's another thing, is that if you do a trade, by opting in, you're forcing the Lakers to trade you if you want to go somewhere else, meaning that somebody, wherever you go, has to give up stuff to get you.
You're getting worse.
And so you're getting more money, and wherever you go, the other team is also losing players. That doesn't help you.
No. And that's why I think this has all been speculation. And he was in Cleveland over the weekend. There's a picture that came out of him at I think it was the Cavs gym or a gym in Cleveland or the Akron area.
And he was golfing.
Yes. Yeah, he was in New York. But he came quickly out and said that he's home every summer, and this is where he still has a house up in Cleveland and everything. So I get why there's this immediate speculation, and the Cavs are obviously going to be a part of that. Would it be cool to see him end his career where it all began? Sure, I think so. But I think it's so difficult to figure out a way to get him to Cleveland and have everyone be happy with the situation.
2 hours down, 1 to go, and the NBA has an identity crisis. We'll discuss next. Stick around. See you on the other side. It is Fan Sports Saturday in the Fan.
Catch T-Bone and Tyvis weekday mornings from 6 to 9. If you're not completely satisfied, we'll rewind time and erase your brain. For real, the Fan.
Hey, it's Anthony for Orthopedic One. I'm not invincible anymore. I never was, but I refuse to punt on things I still love to do. That's why over the past several years, when I've had things creep up, like back pain, shoulder issue, elbow problem, I've had it all, I've always chosen Orthopedic One. That's because Orthopedic One is Ohio's largest physician-owned orthopedic practice with 60 physicians in every specialty. Find a physician or location near you at orthopedic1.com. Orthopedic One. This is where you go to get better.
When it comes to your roofing, siding, or gutter needs, call Newman Roofing. 614-NEW-ROOF. NewmanRoofing.com.
This 4th of July, Bob's Discount Furniture is bringing back 4 for the 4th. Spotlighting 4 must-have trendsetters for $7.99 and under, like my farmhouse chic Calvin bedroom, Plate A sectional with pop-up sleeper and hidden storage, Consumer Reports recommended treasure mattress, and my 5-star Betty dining set in 4 gorgeous colors. So stop in or visit mybobs.com and celebrate 4 for the 4th.
Oh, my Bob!
Bob's Discount Furniture.
No matter where you are, Coughlin is there, in store or online.
CoglinCars.com.
15 new car brands, over 1,000 pre-owned vehicles, 16 convenient locations for sales, service, and parts, plus 4 state-of-the-art collision centers. CoglinCars.com. Shop locally owned CoglinCars.com.
Coglin has the car for you. Got one of those days that never stops? Try a stop at Speedway and refresh the vibe with 69-cent large big gulp drinks. Get 69-cent large big gulp drinks at Speedway with Speedy Rewards. The convenience stores of Speedway. Valid through 8/26/25. See app for full terms.
Get Eco.
ECO. Hey, Aaron, guess what we're getting ready to celebrate?
America's birthday?
That's right. How did you guess?
Well, you're dressed like Yankee Doodle, and you're wearing a tri-corner hat, and you've got a snare drum.
Get Eco. GETECO. Get Eco. They can really go. Get Eco. For your Cinco. Fix and a Blinko. You'll thinko. Hooray. Get Eco. GETECO. Get Eco. You'll be cool like snow. Get Eco. Like an ice Ringo. Puerto Rico. Get Eco today. Huh? What do you think?
Jerry, are you suggesting that Puerto Rico become the 51st state?
I could invent a brand new 51-star flag.
Get Eco.
ECO.
Eco plumbers, electricians, and HVAC technicians.
Have a safe 4th of July, everyone.
Broadcasting from the Lindsay Honda Studios.
Honda makes the cars. Lindsay makes the difference. Visit lindsayhonda.com.
WBNS-FM, HD1 Columbus. The Fan. Sports Center.
And I'm Nate Pooterball. Last night in Philadelphia, the Reds beat the Phillies by a score of 9-6. Spencer Steer sparked a 5-run third inning with a 2-run RBI double. And reliever Tony Santillan struck out Alec Bohm with the bases loaded in the 8th to secure the win. With the win, Terry Francona moves just 4 wins away from 2,000 career wins. Game 2 of the series comes your way at 4:05 today with Nick Lodolo taking the mound for the Reds against Ranger Suarez. Catch the action immediately following Buckeye replay on the Fan. In Cleveland, the Tigers extended the Guardians' losing streak to 8 games, 2-1 on the back of homers by Wenzel Perez and Zach McKinstry. Game 2 of their series is tonight at 7:15. Logan Allen taking the mound for the Guardians against Casey Mizey. And at Wimbledon last night, world number 1 Arina Sabalenka advanced on the women's side yesterday over Emma Raducanu to advance to the round of 16. Breaking sports news when it happens on the Fan.
Just because it's the weekend doesn't mean we shut up. This is Fan Sports Saturday.
Hour number 3, Fan Sports Saturday. Cole Bartemes with Pat Murphy featuring Nate Pooterball behind the glass. NBA fans don't really know what they want, ever. It seems like they complain when the Warriors and the Cavs are stacking their rosters with like 7 combined All-Stars and their dynasties and like, oh, you know, what about everybody else? I'm tired of seeing all these guys. Kevin Durant going to the Warriors ruined the NBA. And then like now I'm seeing tweets like after we got the oh god, I'm
Pacers and the Thunder.
Yes, I got the Pacers. I couldn't think of the Thunder, and this happened like a week and a half ago. My brain just works season by season. Like, you can give me baseball trivia right now, and I would nail it. You give it to me in December, and I would the exact same questions. Nothing. My brain works season by season. I'm already out of NBA mode, but now you got Pacers and Thunder, and it's like, man, what happened to all these dynasties, man? I'm reading all these tweets, and I'm wishy-washy on the value of Twitter.
Sure,
because you know anybody can be anybody behind a screen. They can say whatever they want, and it's also, and I do this all the time, so hand up, I do this all the time. It's very easy to just take every opinion that you've ever had and put it all together as one monolith of Twitter, where there are many individual Twitter users who have their own personalities and behaviors and, like, you know, should be graded for their own behavior and not necessarily just lumped all together and be responsible for what other people are saying. But I do it anyway. But now there's discussion of, like, oh, man, like, these teams aren't what they used to be. Like, where are the dynasties that I grew up with and all this crazy stuff that they complained about like a decade ago?
Yeah, it's really interesting how the NBA has changed going back from when you were talking about with the Cavs Warriors run and the rule changes I mentioned earlier with the various aprons in terms of the way you can build your salaries and your roster. it does have more parity, at least it seems. We've had, I think it's something like 8 straight new champions.
I think 7.
7? Okay.
But at least 7.
Yeah. So, look, I think that it has created more competitive balance. It does make it harder for teams to maintain being a top team. You know, you don't see teams repeating. I mean, even the Celtics, who had a loaded roster, paid luxury taxes and all that, ran into some issues this year. Obviously, Jason Tatum getting hurt didn't help, but the idea of a dynasty is going to be very difficult to build in this version of the NBA. And look, is it good? Is it bad? I think that's a matter of, like you were saying, your opinion. I really enjoyed the Thunder Pacers finals. I thought it was good basketball.
It was great basketball.
Yeah, you got 7-game series. The games were interesting. Like, there were a lot of, if you don't follow the NBA on a nightly basis, you probably learned about some new players because they're both smaller market teams.
The torture chamber.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, while it was fun to watch Cavs Warriors, you kind of went into the season knowing that's probably where it's going to end up, right? I couldn't tell you before the season. Like, yeah, people pick the Thunder because they have a loaded young roster. But there were also people saying, well, they haven't done it yet. It's a bunch of young guys. Can they get over the hump? The Pacers were certainly not in that conversation. And, I mean, even in the, both conferences, I was going to say the East is wide open, but both really have some really good teams. I think it's made more competitive balance, but it is, like I said, hard to have a consistent top of the standings type of team.
Yeah, and if Halliburton gets hurt also, who knows?
Yeah.
And so, which do you prefer, dynasty? I think that we certainly remember dynasties better. Like, the 1970s decade, I think, had 8 different champions in that 10-year period, and that is widely regarded as, like, the worst, or at least the most forgettable decade of basketball. Like, the 80s, you think of Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. 90s was Jordan. 2000s, you could... I don't think
Spurs and Lakers.
Yeah, I was going to say Lakers. I was going to say people don't, like, necessarily think of Tim Duncan like that until you, like, actually put his resume together and it's like, oh no, like, he was like that.
Oh yeah.
It's just he was a little bit less fun about it. 2010s, Cavs and Warriors, like facing off against each other, what, like 5 years in a row or something like that. So those dynasties, I think, carry over generation to generation a little bit better as far as just like how you remember the sport. The crux of my issue with the NBA goes to what you said about, like, this was really good basketball, Pacers Thunder. And my issue is, and will forever be, until they fix it, but honestly, I don't think it's going to be fixed, especially since the fact that the money in this league is just out of control because they just don't have that many people to pay. And so when you're making a ton of money and you don't have to split it up, like, you don't have to split it up 53 ways, right, like in the NFL, everybody's going to be crazy rich. But the problem is that, and some people want to float the idea maybe you should have less games. The effort, especially defensively, in the NBA Finals does not look like what we see in the regular season.
No.
Flat out. And so I've had an issue with the NBA with that, and that is the crux of it. I also have an issue, like, too many three-pointers, guys almost like afraid to shoot mid-rangers, guys in a 2-on-1 transition just pulling up from 3 and, like, almost like looking to do so. Like, all the fundamentals of basketball that you were taught as a kid are, like, thrown out the window. And 100%. Like, in some cases it makes sense with the math, and it's actually, like, good basketball, technically speaking.
Analytically.
Yeah. And it still comes down to, like, the shot selection is just, it's game to game. Sometimes it's fine, and sometimes it's just unbelievable. Right. But the effort, game in and game out, looks so different in the playoffs than it does in the regular season. And that, to me, is what really gets in the way. I had so much fun watching these finals, man. I'm not trying to be like the, like, no, this ain't what it used to be, but it kind of is. It ain't what it used to be for me a little bit.
Well, and I think, too, the NBA has an issue because it's been built on stars, right? You're going through those eras. You're naming players. You said Magic and Bird, Michael Jordan, Tim Duncan, Kobe Bryant. Like, those are the guys you think of from that. You think of the NFL, like, you do think of the stars. You think of Peyton Manning. You think of Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, all these guys. But you think of the teams first. And the NBA is not like that. And I think when you are now in this era of new teams every year, who's the face of the NBA, there's debate about that. It becomes harder as a casual fan, I think, to watch it when you expect stars and then you get an NBA Finals with guys you don't know. Now, does that make it worse basketball? No, I think it was, as we were saying, it was still absolutely really good. But they've created this, we're built on individual players as opposed to teams, which is not how most sports are built. And now you have to figure out how to balance that when maybe you don't have those stars always in your games at the end of the season.
And I wonder how it gets to that point. And I don't know if there's like a definitive answer of like how it gets to the point of where like again, I didn't want to mention, and we're not going to get into it, but like the whole Michael Jordan versus LeBron thing and how that carried basketball talk. Like the way that people discuss the sport is so reliant on those few names. Like you don't really get very often that like any team debates. You got that a little bit after the championship, but they do like, hey, who would have won? Warriors versus Bulls. Like how would that have gone? But just the way that the sport is talked about, it is, as you said, so reliant on like face of the league conversation.
Right.
And which is an interesting point. We're like kind of at a point of inflection perhaps, because it's really up in the air who the face of the NBA is. You got Jokic, SGA, Luka, Embiid. You could go to Tatum. He didn't win the finals this past year, and he's going to be out all of next year, so that's going to hurt him. Anthony Edwards, I think, is somebody who people really, really like, although if he never makes it to the finals, that's going to be continuing to hurt him a little bit. And so is it just as simple as, and this is not a good thing for the NBA, I don't think, because neither of these guys are at their absolute apex. We just got done talking about LeBron, but this is like the litmus test of ask your mom, ask your sister, name an NBA player right now. The first two that they're probably naming are LeBron James and Steph Curry. That's not a very good thing.
Yeah, maybe Kevin Durant.
But perhaps, and even then.
But you're right. I mean,
I've been a huge Kevin Durant fan, and even then, I'm starting to get to the point where I can barely defend him because he's starting to go the Russell Westbrook and the James Harden route of just a new team every single year. He doesn't fit in with this group. He doesn't fit in with that group. Now he's going to the Rockets, and they're giving up some young talent for him, and it's like, dude, he's like 38 years old. That's another thing, too, with Kevin Durant and Steph and all these guys. Like, LeBron James is the one who is really advertised as like, can you believe it's like he's about to be in year 21 or however long it's been.
28.
20, yeah, no kidding. And so, like, losing track at this point of how many years LeBron James has been in the NBA. There's still a lot of guys underneath him who have been playing for a very long time.
This will be 20.
I was about to say.
He's about to pick 23, not 20.
I'm about to say 28 would have been like crazy, but you know what? At this point, what difference does it make?
I do blame the NBA for this partially, though. Like I was listening earlier this year. I was in the studio listening, and we had ESPN Radio up, and the Knights game was the top number one seed in the record in the league, Cavs, versus number one record in the West, Thunder, on like a Wednesday night game. Perfect night for put them on TNT that night. All ESPN Radio is talking about is, are the Knicks good enough to beat the Celtics?
That's not the NBA's fault, though. That's the media's fault.
But then they throw that big game onto local TV instead of your thing. Promote your big games.
Yeah.
Promote your new teams.
Maybe basketball's just not that popular.
Well, I think basketball is popular, but I think to your point, the talk throughout the finals, and again, we're talking about a great finals that we had, was who's going to be the coach of the Knicks. Every pregame, they were talking about that. It's not the NBA necessarily, but it's the way that the NBA has been covered. It's the way that it's been put out there, whoever is making those decisions. Now,
the entire talk on the other side was the NBA is going to hate this finals because it's two small market teams.
Yeah.
Well, then don't put them there or promote them.
Yes. And I think it's been a long time coming where they've had to figure out how they want the league to look. And I don't think they have gotten to the right place. And maybe this is forcing that. But the conversation does have to eventually be about the teams that are actually playing and, to your point, the right teams on the big stage, right? And it can't just be at the end of the year in the finals or in the playoffs. The Cavs should be on TNT, ESPN. I guess they're not doing TNT anymore more often. They're a great team. And I'm not just saying that because we're in Ohio. Like, they're fun to watch. And
yeah, especially with all the injuries next year, the Eastern Conference, you would think would be theirs for the taking. LeBron or no LeBron.
Absolutely. I would say on paper, they are the favorites to win the East this coming season. Not just in the regular season. I would say that in the playoffs too. Obviously, we don't know what's going to happen. But yeah, you need to, if you are going to get people excited about teams and about your league, they need to know about the Cavs, the Pacers, The Pistons are building something, it seems. Obviously the Thunder have risen to that point, but the Thunder weren't even on TV that much this year. And we knew going into the season how good that young group was. They were really good last year. So, yeah, I think that we've pointed out a lot of flaws in sort of the NBA makeup and sort of why it's in the situation is because I do think basketball is very popular. Look at college basketball, look at March Madness. When you have big-time finals, you certainly see that. So there's definitely the interest. It just is how you sell it, how you promote it.
All right, the NFL conversation starts now. Odell Beckham almost won a Super Bowl with the Steelers. How, I will tell you, or actually he will tell you coming up next. Keep it here, Fan Sports Saturday.
Unlike your deadbeat uncle, we'll never leave you stranded in a ditch when you were 6. This promo may have been a touch too specific. The Fan.
The Buy 5, Save 5 deals at Meijer are a great way to stock up on all your 4th of July celebration supplies. Buy 5 or more and save $5 or more when you mix or match hundreds of items, like 24 packs of select Coca-Cola and Pepsi products, plus deposit where applicable. Oscar Mayer Classic Beef Franks, Kraft Shredded or Chunk Cheese, Dole Chopped or Premium Salad Kits, and Dixie Family Pack plates, bowls, or hot cups. The Buy 5, Save 5 deals at Meijer. That's the good life. A good deal better. Exclusions apply. See all deals in the Meijer app.
The Columbus Zoo invites you to follow the footsteps and the tales of animals from around the world. Explore our newest region, North America Trek. So what are you waiting for? Get your tail to our trails only at your Columbus Zoo.
Common Man here. I want to talk to you about my buddy Bob Capace from Worthington Jewelers. It's rare that a business comes along and offers you such great quality, service, price. If you or someone you love or like, or even strangers on the street tell you they need a jeweler, tell them you got a guy, and that guy is Bob Capace at Worthington Jewelers.
I'm Bob Capace, and I'm your guy.
Worthington Jewelers on High Street in Worthington, worthingtonjewelers.com, where Columbus gets engaged.
Let's be honest, we could all use a little vacation from the ordinary. But with Tim Hortons' new refreshers, you don't need to pack your bags. Just sip, relax, and enjoy your refreshing 16-ounce vacation. With tropical mango packed with real pineapple and mango pieces, and strawberry watermelon kiwi featuring real pieces of strawberry and kiwi. Also, try it with lemonade or coconut milk. A choose-your-own taste bud adventure. Head to Tim's for the new refreshers. Your 16-ounce vacation awaits only at your neighborhood Tim Hortons at participating U.S. restaurants.
With over 33 years of experience, Newman Roofing has become a household name in Central Ohio. Voted Best Roofing Company 4 years in a row, Newman Roofing delivers a white glove experience every time. When it comes to your roof, call 614-NEW-ROOF or visit newmanroofing.com today.
Breaking news, and this one is almost unbelievable.
Yeah, it's all about new customers at Bet365 because they get $150 in bonus bets when they bet $5, win or lose. And even better, bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, and player props.
There you have it. Bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. And see why it's never ordinary at Bet365. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in Ohio. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. T&Cs apply. Available in app only.
Your bathroom's got to go, the vanity's decayed, and toilet's really old. The bathtub's giving way. Give Bath R Us a ring. Call morning, noon, or night. You do not have to wait to get your bathroom right.
Call Baths R Us for your free estimate and enter to win our Christmas in July $12,500 bathroom remodel with an additional savings of up to $3,000 plus low to no monthly payments. 380-225-2284. Baths R Us, where dreams soak in.
Rockman and Ice.
Your front office has the ability to maneuver these numbers around. Cap space is a thing, but sometimes the way it looks on paper, it's not as concrete as it may seem.
Rockman and Ice. Weekdays at noon.
Sponsored by Pella Columbus.
The Fan.
Respiratory syncytial virus, or RSV, is a common seasonal virus, but it can have major implications on a patient's heart health. Most RSV cases involve mild cold-like symptoms, but up to 160,000 adults are hospitalized each year for more serious cases, and RSV can escalate chronic health issues. If you're over the age of 60, talk to your doctor to find out if the new RSV vaccine is right for you, and learn more at heart.org/RSV.
It's a different world today than it was 30 years ago when I started Care Heating and Cooling. This is Mike Weens, now the retired founder of Care Heating and Cooling with my sons, Dennis and Ryan.
Dad, 30 years ago, you were the first to warn of companies using service technicians as salespeople, of abusing the trust that a service technician has. With the big conglomerates now buying companies all over Central Ohio, this has become the normal business model.
It's all about greed. The conglomerates know they can make a lot more money by incentivizing their technicians to sell air conditioners instead of fixing them. They train their techs to take advantage of a customer when they are the most vulnerable.
Dad, that is not how we were taught. In 2024, Care Heating and Cooling was awarded a BBB Torch Award for ethics and was named the Lennox Partner of the Year. You don't earn those awards by leaving cat toys behind.
Call Care Heating and Cooling at 1-800-COOLING or schedule an appointment online at careheatingandcooling.com. When you need a company you can trust.
This 4th of July, Bob's Discount Furniture is bringing back 4 for the 4th. Spotlighting 4 must-have trendsetters for $7.99 and under, like my farmhouse chic Calvin bedroom, Playday sectional with pop-up sleeper and hidden storage, Consumer Reports recommended treasure mattress, and my 5-star Betty dining set in 4 gorgeous colors. So stop in or visit mybobs.com and celebrate 4 for the 4th.
Oh my Bob!
Bob's Discount Furniture.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Aaron White with your 10 weather impact forecast here for today on your Saturday. We're tracking sunshine this afternoon with highs into the mid-90s. Highs around 93 degrees, but we're up to 94 here on your Sunday. There will be humidity around, making it feel even hotter as heat index values reach the mid to upper 90s. So stay cool and stay hydrated here as we go through the rest of our holiday weekend. We are tracking some cooler weather, but also showers and storms back in the forecast here, looking ahead to Monday. And that's your 10 weather impact forecast here on 97.1 The Fan.
Buckeye games have been airing on WBNS since before you were born and before your parents were born. And before Abraham Lincoln was born, trust me. Your home of the Buckeyes, The Fan. Instead of annoying national people talking to you this weekend, we've opted for annoying local people. This is Fan Sports Saturday.
Fan Sports Saturday. Cole Bartemes, Pat Murphy, Nate Puderbaugh. We got you up until 1. And then after us, we got Buckeye Replay. We're airing the national championship game against Miami, that Fiesta Bowl.
That was a fun one.
Mm-hmm. And then after that, we got Reds and Phillies. By the way, tomorrow is Selection Sunday for the All-Star Game. The MLB All-Star Game is one of my favorite days of the year. I love that game. The tradition of that is, you know what? The ESPN lady should have had that as one of her top 5 American sports traditions. I'm going with that.
I also thought hot dog eating contest.
I can't stand that.
Oh, I'd watch it every year.
I don't watch that.
Yep. Made sure we were somewhere yesterday to take it in.
There's no way.
It's just insane.
It's like sickening, though.
You do have to have the stomach for it. There's no doubt about that. I wouldn't recommend eating while doing it.
It is repulsive to me, the Nathan's hot dog eating competition. I don't view Joey. Why is that a sport, by the way? How come every single year Joey Chestnut gets like this graphic of like comparing him to Tom Brady and Rafael Nadal? Like
he has won like 14 hot dog eating.
He's the GOAT. Duh.
Yeah, but
you didn't want to have a GOAT debate. Here we go.
Yeah. Hey, we said no GOAT debates today, okay? But I'm not watching that. That is one of the most repulsive things that you could possibly put on television. But enough people do, so, maybe I'm the weird one. Like I said, I'm not a huge beer drinker, but I think it makes me less of a man. And so I recognize that everybody else loves it, and I'm just, like, whatever. And so I might be the weird one. That's fine.
What it is? I can't throw a football 50 yards down the field, but I can eat some hot dogs.
That's true.
I can't throw a football 50 yards down the field. I can eat hot dogs. I just don't want to, like, race. And then they dip the buns in the water, and it's just disgusting, and, like, stuff's flying everywhere.
So you don't want to do a hot dog eating contest when we get done here?
No.
Okay.
No.
Check that off the list then. We're not
yeah.
Scratch it.
Is there also a lemonade drinking contest involved in that? What's that guy's name?
I have no idea.
There's a character. I saw it tweeted out that he was chugging lemonade and he won. He had his own, like, nickname and stuff.
Yeah, I don't.
And he looks like he was a champion lemonade drinker, too.
I'm going to be honest. I don't follow competitive eating that closely. I did see Joey Chestnut in a wing eating contest in Indianapolis when we were there for the Big Ten championship game one year. He performed, I guess, is the
performed.
Term. Yeah. It was something.
You think Joey Chestnut tells his friends, "Hey, I can't make it to the hangout tonight. I got a performance tonight."
Yeah, no. I got to go.
And I saw E60 did a special on him one time and was like going through all of his like neck exercises. I'm like, this dude, again, I said this earlier in the show. I don't blame anyone for taking advantage of opportunities that are given to them. I don't. If somebody sends you an opportunity, so what if everybody else thinks it's completely unjustified? So what? If you're extended an opportunity that is too good to be true, fine. Take it. I mean that. But Joey Chestnut being treated like some high-level athlete is one of the most ridiculous things. I would put NASCAR drivers, the whole NASCAR debate, and this is like a cheap radio topic. I'm not trying to turn this into an entire segment. But the whole, like, is NASCAR a sport? Yeah, but I don't think, like, the drivers are athletes. Like, I wouldn't say, if Tim May's listening, he's not going to be happy with me.
He will not.
No, he will not be. But, like, who's more justified as an athlete, a NASCAR driver or Joey Chestnut?
I think to be a driver of NASCAR or IndyCar, whatever, like, you still have to be athletic. Like, all of those guys are in good shape, right? Like, I think there's something to that. Just, you're not running, right? But there's still a lot going on when you're in the car. But yes, the competitive eating, it's hard to justify that as a athletic achievement. It's more of a digestive achievement in my mind.
Odell Beckham Jr. went on Club Random, which is Bill Maher's podcast, which is appointment listening for me every single Sunday. He has everybody under the sun, and you don't know what they're going to talk about, and they don't know what they're going to talk about. Odell Beckham Jr. went on, and at one point in time, he was talking about the lead up to the draft. I believe Odell was drafted in 2014. And, me being a Steelers fan, this certainly made my ears perk up hearing who he thought was going to draft him.
But what about Aaron Rodgers? Love him. We've had conversations. So why don't you join the Steelers? That'd be great. Because he's on the Steelers now.
I won't say that it's not a possibility, and I won't say that I haven't had any communications, but I also...
Great coach. You'd love to play for that.
I love Tomlin. I was actually supposed to be drafted to the Steelers.
Really?
That was the meeting that I had that I was like, I think I'm going to the Steelers. And the Giants ended up taking me at 12. Steelers had the 16th pick, maybe. I think they took Ryan Shazier. And it just was...
Well, I hope I see more of you because you're always entertaining to me. And
I'm not done, I'll tell you that.
Okay, the end of that, I'm not so sure about. Now, it should be in the athlete's mind that he can do whatever, he can overcome whatever adversity. And you know what? Maybe he just meant I can still play in the NFL, like, period. Not necessarily play well, but period, I still have something left in me. Okay, that's fine. But Odell Beckham Jr. now in 2025, into his 30s, is not exactly the Odell Beckham Jr. who was whipping in the end zone with the gold Mohawks in New York. So the takeaway from this is, there are multiple takeaways, but Odell Beckham Jr. at that point in time, if he were actually drafted to Pittsburgh before the Giants swooped in and stole this dream from me, and Odell Beckham Jr., for as annoying and obnoxious as he was, when he first broke into the league those first handful of years, a hell of a receiver.
Yep.
So he would have been paired opposite of Antonio Brown. Obviously, his production would have been minimized a little bit because he wouldn't have been the number one option the way that he was in New York. But Odell Beckham Jr. alongside Antonio Brown would have been something to see for at least a few years in Pittsburgh. And I think that there was one year, the year that the Broncos won the Super Bowl, the final Peyton Manning season, where it was kind of like him and Osweiler were splitting the season. Mm-hmm. I was doing the math on it. That they beat the Steelers in a pretty close playoff game that year. I think, and assuming no boat parties leading up to the Green Bay Packers game where he had 4 drops, assuming that doesn't take place, Odell Beckham Jr. in that offense, opposite of Antonio Brown, maybe, just maybe, would have been enough to perhaps put the Steelers over Denver and then go on and win that Super Bowl and beat the Cam Newton-led Panthers.
It would have been interesting. I pulled up Odell Beckham's stats. I mean, his rookie year, he had 91 catches for 1,305 yards and 12 touchdowns. That's just absurd for a first-year player. Obviously, super talented. Now, he hasn't had a 1,000-yard receiving year since 2019, which was with the Cleveland Browns. But, I mean, those years from 2014 to 2019, just absurd. And, I mean, he was on the Rams Super Bowl team. Sorry, Nate. he came that second half of that year, tore his ACL in the Super Bowl. He was still making an impact then, only had a little over 500 yards that season between
Didn't
the
he have a touchdown in the Super Bowl?
He did, yeah. He was on his way to winning the MVP of that game, and then he tears his ACL. But the last couple of years, 565 yards with the Ravens in 14 games, and then last year, 9 catches for 55 yards in 9 games. So certainly declined. Not sure how much he has left in the tank. As you said, obviously he still wants to go out there and prove himself. But when he was going, man, I don't know if there certainly weren't many better than him.
See, you take the route of, how do these two players work together to make the team great? I'm looking at if OBJ and Antonio Brown are on the same team for a franchise that prides itself on the class organization, how quickly does that franchise explode?
Well, we haven't won any Super Bowls since, so it couldn't have hurt us. Maybe it would have expedited the whole Antonio Brown crash out.
You want reality television?
That would be a great Hard Knocks.
Oh, put those two on Hard Knocks together, and who knows what you're going to get. I got one more thought on this, and then we'll discuss NFL. Who cares? We do. That's coming up in 2 minutes.
Discover uncompromising quality at a reliable price with Giant Eagle in Market District. Look for signs throughout the store highlighting lower prices. Surround yourself with savings at Giant Eagle. Experience value like never before. Visit Giant Eagle today to see how easy it is to save.
Got one of those days that never stops? Try a stop at Speedway and refresh the vibe with 69-cent large Big Gulp drinks. Get 69-cent large Big Gulp drinks at Speedway with Speedy Rewards. The convenience stores of Speedway. Valid through 8/26/25. See app for full terms.
Hi, I'm Bob Capace from Worthington Jewelers.
And I'm his very overpaid celebrity endorser, Common Man. Bob, I heard somewhere, actually from you many, many times, that Worthington Jewelers is where Columbus gets engaged.
It's too bad you and Timmy can't engage the audience.
Good zing, Bob.
If you're thinking of popping the question, there's only one place to go.
Worthington Jewelers on High Street in Worthington. WorthingtonJewelers.com. Tell them Common Man sent you.
Road trip! This summer at Tire Discounters, your tires are your passport to savings, because you're driving to Paris,
Texas,
then it's off to Rome,
Georgia,
and you'll be kissing the Blarney Stone in Dublin,
Ohio.
Right now, save up to $494 when you buy 4 tires, and that includes a free alignment and oil change. Stop at Tire Discounters before you see the world.
I can't wait to meet her. Oh my gosh.
Put your hands together for new Dr. Pepper Blackberry and Dr. Pepper Blackberry Zero Sugar.
There she is! Woohoo! Yeah! It's full Dr. Pepper!
With sweet blackberry flavor!
Dr. Pepper Blackberry, I'm obsessed with your succulent taste. Please marry me!
No! Marry me! Marry me, or I'm gonna freak out!
Try new Dr. Pepper Blackberry.
It's a pepper thing!
Catch the latest from the world of Ohio State athletics. Weeknights at 6 on the Buckeye Show. New special guests in everything scarlet and gray. The Fan. Sports talk, weekend style. You're listening to Fan Sports Saturday.
Cole Bartemes, Pat Murphy, Nate Puderbaugh. I was scrolling on Twitter in the commercial break.
Be careful doing that.
I know. And Paul Pierce apparently said on his show, Speak, on FS1, within the past couple of days that he considers himself to be the greatest NBA scorer of all time. And I'm sure he has his reasons for that. Like, stats aside, I'm sure his argument is like, oh, I can score at this level, that level, whatever. But I saw somebody quote tweet it and was literally laughing out loud in the studio and had to kind of like stifle my laughter so I wasn't like, you didn't think I was weird. The caption is, Paul Pierce is the first NBA player with CTE.
That's rough.
Oh, my goodness.
Do you know where Paul Pierce is on the NBA all-time scoring list?
No.
What would you guess?
Oh, you have it up?
I do.
I am going to say, I kind of think he was close to the top 25.
He is in the top 25. I'll give you that.
Okay, because I was actually going to bump him out and go like somewhere in the 30s. I'll say 21.
He's 18.
Okay. Hey, well, look, that's actually pretty good.
Right between Tim Duncan, who's 17, and John Havlicek. So I get what he's saying. This isn't necessarily a statistic-based comment, I imagine, like you were saying, but That is a bit absurd given some of the names on this list and the fact that there just is a list that you can look at to see how many points Paul Pierce scored.
And Paul Pierce has the reputation of being a guy on TV who says wacky things.
Absolutely.
He's not full-on Scottie Pippen who changes his mind on the GOAT debate every single time he speaks on it, where, like sometimes it's Michael, there's no one I'd rather start a team with Michael Jordan. But look at LeBron's stats. LeBron can do everything else. I'm back to Michael Jordan. I'm back to LeBron. Hey, look at Wilt Chamberlain's stats. Why is no one talking about Wilt Chamberlain? So he's not full-on Scottie Pippen just arguing against himself every single time he's on TV, but he does get a little crazy. I did want to address one other thing regarding the Odell Beckham soundbite that we played in the last segment. If you missed it, he was talking about how he entered draft night thinking the Steelers were going to draft him. On top of that, Bill Maher was also trying to pitch him to the Steelers because Bill Maher and Aaron Rodgers are friends, and Aaron Rodgers got on his show a couple times. And so he's like, hey, why don't you match up with Aaron Rodgers? And Odell's like, hey, man, I love Mike Tomlin. That would be a great – and he said that he loves Aaron Rodgers, which a side note of this is that it seems like everybody outside of Aaron Rodgers' family / Danica Patrick loves Aaron Rodgers. Like, I know that the entire planet hates him, and – I think that he kind of plays into that and he likes that villain role and he intentionally tries to needle people. But by all accounts, it seems like all of his teammates love him. He's going to the Kentucky Derby with like 8 of his teammates every single year. I think Jordan Travis, the quarterback from Florida State, who was the Jets' backup quarterback, was tweeting out about how Aaron Rodgers is misunderstood. So, and Odell apparently likes him. So, by all accounts, seems like a decent guy in the locker room. But Odell Beckham, he was being pitched to the Steelers this year. The jokes would write themselves about, that falls in line with every other old guy that they've had join their team this year. I don't think he has much to offer. The Steelers do, I guess, have a need at receiver. We'll see what happens with Roman Wilson, who was hurt for a lot of last year. I believe he was a 3rd or 4th round pick out of Michigan last season, so didn't offer much. They just traded George Pickens. They acquired DK Metcalf, so they need some help out there. I don't think Odell Beckham is the guy for that.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about how his stats have trailed off. Look, if you're looking for a guy who might be able to give you a little bit and be a veteran presence in the locker room, fine, but isn't that kind of what you did with Aaron Rodgers? I mean, obviously you're relying on Aaron Rodgers more to give you more than a little bit, but do you need that? I think by all accounts, Odell Beckham, good teammate from everything I've ever heard about him. So, Look, I think if there's room to do it and you can make it work, I don't think it's going to hurt anything. But, yeah, I'm not sure that is what's changing the Steelers season if they add Odell Beckham to the roster.
So I was reading an article from USA Today, and, it's the offseason, dude. Like, people need content. We need content, just to be clear. I'm not excluding us from this conversation. Right. So, sometimes some publications will come out with some ridiculous lists that have nothing to do with anything, and you're reading it, and you're just like, who woke up and just thought of this today? Give them a little bit of a break, because they got to be creative somehow. I actually enjoyed this one, though. Ranking all 32 NFL teams from most to least entertaining. That is one that I think is actually a pretty decent topic. And so I was kind of floating around this list. Obviously, we're not going to go through all 32, but this is basically just the do you care meter. I thought it was a little bit crazy, especially, now easy for us to say because of where we are and what we're talking about on this radio station. At 32, dead last in terms of entertainment value, they had the Cleveland Browns. I got to object.
That is a poor take.
That is a very poor take for a team that might start 4 different quarterbacks this year.
They may be the funniest franchise in the NFL, in fact.
No one's saying they're going to be good. And they do kind of stack this list. You can kind of see, like, based off of, like, who's good is at the top and who's bad is at the bottom. I think the Browns are in a position to be funny bad. Being funny bad is not a bad thing in terms of entertainment. In this industry, in this city, I'll give you an example. Like, Shedeur Sanders, when he got drafted to Cleveland, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. But we talk about this guy all the time as it is. Now we're going to talk about him for the next, who knows how many years of his career. So I was kind of like, man, you got to be kidding.
Yeah, like you could be the Panthers and be bad and no one cares because nothing about the Panthers are interesting.
Or the Jaguars.
At least the Browns are like, I want to see what happens with this train wreck.
Exactly. The crash and burn of the Browns this year has the chance to be funny bad. That is still entertaining.
This list does just seem like a projection of how the standings might play out this year. Scrolling through it, just, like you said, the top teams, the Ravens, the Bills, the Eagles, the Lions, the Chiefs. Those are all teams that I expect to be
How about your Rams at 6?
They are at 6, yeah. And look, I mean, I guess it makes sense, right? Good teams are generally entertaining, but it's all like offensive-heavy teams, too. Like, there's no, we're going to win it with grind-out defense type. And maybe the NFL has gone away from that for the most part. But, yeah, this is an interesting way to go about this list because I guess it depends on, like, is entertainment just winning? Is that what, I mean, that's why we watch games, right? Is to see your team win, ideally, or see who wins. But, yeah, I think you could make some argument here, but I get it.
For the Chiefs at 5, and I'm not going to read this entire thing, but with the explosive plays running dry and Chiefs fatigue setting in for most, there's only so high that the defining franchise of the last decade can rank on this list. I do appreciate that they put the Chiefs at number 5 and didn't have them as high up as they probably could have and would have been decently justified in doing so. I don't know about you. I for sure have Chiefs fatigue. I don't think Patrick Mahomes is unlikable by any stretch of the imagination. Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift, that whole thing, the camera finds them. I'm not going to blame Taylor Swift just for showing up to a game.
Right.
Like, she's not the technical director. She's not deciding which camera screen is on live on TV at any given moment. I don't think she's doing anything crazy and attention grabbing. Travis Kelce, yeah, he's out there. He's flashy. He's dancing. He's all that stuff. He's loud. So, a little bit there. But for as good as they are, and I hate when all the people jump out, appreciate greatness, and they like try to recruit you to be Chiefs fans of like, well, why do you hate greatness? Like they try to make you feel guilty about it. It's like, dude, the NFL is supposed to be the sport where like it is the great equalizer. And I don't want every sport like that. We talked about college football recruiting earlier. I don't want every sport to be the exact same, but that is kind of the thing with the NFL, and that's really good with the NFL. Congratulations to the Patriots and the Chiefs for figuring out a way around that. Brett Veach is really, really, really damn good at his job, but I do have Chiefs fatigue pretty severely.
I think anytime you have a team that's been as good, we were talking about Cavs, Warriors. Like I think if we're obviously in Columbus, so that was the thing that most people were excited about. But when you just have the same thing over and over and over again, whether it be one team or two teams, you do want to see something different as a neutral observer, right? And I think that's why people were excited last year. You at least got a different Super Bowl winner out of the Eagles. So, yeah, I think the Ravens being number 1 grabbed my attention. Like, does that happen last year before they have Derrick Henry? Like, I know Lamar Jackson is fun to watch, but, like, when I think Ravens, I tend to think more defensive and whatnot. But now you have 2 of the best offensive stars in the sport. I guess that makes sense to put them at least in the top few, if not number 1.
Yeah, the tough part about the Ravens being dubbed as the most entertaining team in the NFL this year, the way that they play offense for sure, just great athletes, Lamar Jackson being the center of that, of course. But the issue is the AFC is a little bit boring to me because the hierarchy, at least for the past however many years, has been the exact same thing. You have the Chiefs at the top, for the most part, the Bengals broke through. We don't want to disregard that, but just speaking generally over the past collection of the past handful of years, Chiefs are at the top, Bills are one step beneath them, Ravens and Bengals are one step beneath of both of them. It has been decently concrete, and so that's the part where I have a tough time going, haven't we seen this Ravens story and Bills story and Chiefs story and Bengals story like way too much for this to be like really, really exciting? They got the Bengals at 8. And I actually think there's a lot of intrigue there, football aside.
They have the Bills at number 2, and that annoys me. It's like, oh, cool, we're going to see you lose to the Chiefs or the Bengals in the second round again.
Exactly. And you know what? They're going to be a really good team. Josh Allen's really good. He seems like a really likable guy, all that stuff. So there is popularity there. But I'm going to diminish some of the entertainment value that the Chiefs, Ravens, Bengals, and Bills all provide because it's all just Groundhog Day, it seems like.
Yeah, I think so. But that's kind of what, because of the copycat nature of sports these days, I think that's kind of what we are set up to witness a lot of times. When a team does something well, other teams are going to try and figure out a way to do something similar, right? And so you do see a lot of similarities. And in all sports, it's not just in the NFL.
And honest to goodness, I think the Steelers, who are ranked at 12 on this list, they are way underrated. Entertainment value? Now, I'm not saying that they're going to be a great team come December. So it could go to, I don't know what I'm getting out of them. I mean, it's probably going to be somewhere in the middle, but I don't think their ceiling is tremendously high. There is a chance, though, I think that they have a low floor. I think the Steelers could really crash and burn potentially. Again, probably going to be in the middle, but how bad could it be? I don't think that they're going to be great. Again, we talked about the old folks home and we cracked the jokes about getting all these senior citizens.
Bad enough you question why they signed their GM to a new deal.
That we don't even have time to get into that. Honestly, goodness, we don't have time to get into that. And even then, I wouldn't even want to because they have no idea what they're doing. I think the Steelers enter the season, though, with among some of the biggest appeal in terms of entertainment value. I'm not saying that they're going to be very exciting in December because there's no guarantee of that. But heading into that, we shall see. They definitely have a lot of appeal. We will wrap up the show on the other side. Stick around. One more segment, Fan Sports Saturday in the Fan.
Head to 971thefan.com to listen on demand and subscribe to all our podcasts. Wasting time has never been easier. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Your bathroom's got to go, the vanity's decayed, and toilet's really old. The bathtub's giving way. If Baths R Us a ring, call morning, noon, or night. You do not have to wait to get your bathroom right.
Call Baths R Us for your free estimate and enter to win our Christmas in July $12,500 bathroom remodel with an additional savings of up to $3,000 plus low to no monthly payments. 380-225-2284. Baths R Us, where dreams soak in.
It's been a great run. Care Heating and Cooling has achieved goals I could only imagine 30 years ago. But now it's time for the next generation to take over. This is Mike Weens, now the retired founder of Care Heating and Cooling with my sons, Dennis and Ryan.
Dad, I remember you saying that a family business should reflect family values, that a customer deserves to be treated with kindness and compassion.
And those values will never change. The reputation you built for being fair and honest is our greatest asset.
In fact, in 2024, Care was awarded a BBB Torch Award for Ethics and named the Lennox Partner of the Year.
You don't earn those awards by leaving cat toys behind. It's an honor to continue serving Central Ohio as a locally owned, family-run business.
So, whether you need a tune-up, repair, or just honest advice, Care is here for you.
Call Care Heating and Cooling at 1-800-COOLING or schedule an appointment online at careheatingandcooling.com. When you need a company you can trust.
Get summer blockbuster savings at Coughlin Kia, Central Ohio's largest volume Kia dealer. Right now, take up to $6,000 off MSRP on any new Kia in stock. Plus, get free maintenance for a full year when you buy. Get any new Kia with up to $6,000 off MSRP. Visit CoughlinKia.com.
Largest Kia dealer based on current ground stock at all 4 Coughlin Kia locations. 2025 Kia Sorento XY. MSRP $47,990. $3,000 Coughlin discount. $3,000 factory rebate. Residency restrictions may apply. See dealer for details. N7725.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Hey, that's the spirit. Right now, we're celebrating free with a free STP oil filter when you buy 5 quarts of oil and free Duralast brake pads when you buy 2 rotors. Like always, free battery testing, charging, and recycling at every store. Celebrate free at AutoZone now through July 28th.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Our daughter Jessie loves playing detective.
A clue.
But since we discovered she has sensitive skin, we've been playing detective too.
We thought the problem was our puppy.
But it was actually our old detergent.
Uh-huh.
So we switched to Tide Free and Gentle. Tide Free and Gentle provides an excellent Tide clean, and it doesn't leave behind irritating residues like dyes or perfumes, so it's gentle on your skin.
Case closed.
If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Free and Gentle.
We at The Fan have created a show where you can be a homer, a hater, or whatever you want to be. Your family may not listen to you, but we will. Sundays at 11, it's The Fan Call-In Show presented by ESPN Bet at Hollywood Casino Columbus. You're welcome.
Hey guys, it's Timmy Hall from my friends at Orthopedic One, Central Ohio's most trusted orthopedic practice. 2 years ago, I was actually experiencing hip pain for the first time in my life, and I knew I needed the best. So I chose Orthopedic One for my physical therapy needs. And in a matter of weeks, I was rotating that golf swing better than before, and I was the longest hitter in my group again. So be like me and trust Orthopedic One and stay at the top of your game. Several convenient locations across Central Ohio. To find a physician or location near you, just go to orthopedic1.com.
At Kroger, you never compromise. You get high quality and low prices. Like you never compromise your meal with our spring salad mix that's guaranteed fresh. And you never compromise your budget with lower prices on over 1,000 items. Hand it to Kroger shoppers. You never compromise. Kroger. Fresh for everyone.
Save on select bags of Doritos, Cheetos, or Tostitos. Mix and match your favorite flavors and buy 2, get 3 free with your card. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
It's July in Central Ohio. The grills are hot, the sun is hotter, and chances are you've seen a Newman Roofing truck rolling through your neighborhood. Maybe you've talked to one of our team members at a local event, or know someone who proudly says, "Yeah, I've got a Newman roof." At Newman Roofing, we're more than just a roofing company. We're your neighbors. And for the last 33 years, your support has helped us grow as a family-owned business. So we give back the best way we know how. With quality work, lasting relationships, and a lifetime workmanship warranty that means you'll never be left out in the rain. Thousands of families across Central Ohio have trusted us and had their expectations exceeded. And it's why we've been voted Best Roofing Company in Best of the Bus magazine for 4 years running now. So this summer, don't just get a new roof, get a Newman roof. Call 614-NEW-ROOF or visit online at newmanroofing.com.
All your favorite fan shows are available when you want them.
Head to 971thefan.com and hit that subscribe button.
The Fan, Ohio sports destination. During weekend programming, pants are optional.
Look at my butt!
However, leather chairs may have been a bad choice. You're listening to Fan Sports Saturday.
Appreciate you sticking with us today. Fan Sports Saturday 97.1. Cole Bartemes, Pat Murphy, Nate Puderbaugh. Pat, do you think the audience was able to detect that we had not met until literally 5 minutes before the show?
I don't think so. I think we did a pretty good job.
Nate, did we fool you?
Absolutely.
Thank you. It was excellent. It was a good time. One more segment down. So here's the thing. I think we've been pretty good about the clock today. Definitely in the first half. The second half of the show, I may have gotten a little bit out of there. But was pretty good about the clock. Now the game is, can I get out of here at exactly 56:40 as I am a debutante in the one chair? I don't know about that one.
We're going to find out.
Exactly. But following Fan Sports Saturday today, we will have Buckeye replay. I believe it's the first of the season as we get ramped up and excited for college football around here. So Buckeye replay, OSU Miami National Championship game. That is going to take you 1 to 4. Following that, we will go straight to the Reds and the Phillies. They are in Philadelphia. First pitch of that one at 4:05. Also, I mentioned earlier that the Selection Sunday is tomorrow for the MLB All-Star Game. J-Ram is starting at third base for the American League. So Jose Ramirez doing Jose Ramirez things, one of the best players. I think he is probably going to be the only Guardian. Stephen Kwan is a possibility. Cade Smith is a possibility to get added to the roster. So we'll have to tune in for that. The Reds, Andrew Abbott got touched up yesterday for the Reds. Doesn't really matter because they won 9-6, and he's probably going to be an all-star anyway. So expect him to get added to the team. I think Ellie De La Cruz will also get added to the team. He should be. But Guardians, losers of 8 in a row, which is weird. If you told me before the season started that the Reds would be better than the Guardians, I would not have believed you, but that's the point that we're at. So looking forward to that. But I mentioned baseball because I have to change my tune a little bit on, I don't know if you're familiar with this, Pat, but the Diamondbacks fan who got suspended for the rest of the season.
You're right.
So what happened was there was a play in Arizona where a fan in the front row took it upon himself to almost fall onto the field trying to catch a fly ball that would not have been a home run in left center field. And then John Boy, which is a popular social media outlet for baseball content, they actually pieced together that this was the 4th time in 4 seasons, one time each year, each of the past 4 years, that this fan has been involved in some sort of review in the outfield. So this fan has a habit of some close calls, and I came on the radio. We're talking about this on Rothman and Ice. We're having a lot of fun with it. And if you go look this up on Twitter, folks, I mean, like, he is like literally almost falling on the field. And I got the image for you guys there. Like, he has both arms. His chest is touching the wall. That's how low he's hanging, and both arms are over the fence. He's got one leg in the air, so he's close. But this is a now 4-time offender in the past 4 years. Basically, I was upset at him. I'm like, at what point do you interfere with this? Or intervene with this if you're the Diamondbacks organization? And then John Boy, just because they're good at their job, was able to get that out there that was so popular that the Diamondbacks did see it, and then they suspended him for the whole season. And you could tell that this was a season ticket holder because he's in the same spot every single time.
Right.
And so they suspend him for the rest of the season. And then I'm like, wait a minute. Well, now I don't like that the Diamondbacks suspended him because the only reason he got suspended is because John Boy's too good at their job. So the popularity of John Boy is the reason that this Diamondbacks fan who is continuously interfering, and apparently he did a radio interview where he claims that he is a multi-time ejection offender, and he claims has been involved in 9 or 10 reviewed plays in the past however many years. Now I'm kind of like, dude, I was against you at first, and clearly he just does not care and is just going after every fly ball. But if the fact that you got caught is because the social media video gained too much popularity, I was kind of laughing at this thing. Now I'm on his side. Now I'm like, well, damn, man, that kind of sucks that the only reason that you got caught is because somebody else let him know.
This is like when fans run on the field in various games. I know, at least in like European soccer, it's really there's a lot of people that try and make a thing of it. There are people who have done it similarly, like multiple times, and obviously you get ejected from the game. Sometimes you get arrested for doing that because you enter the field of play.
Trespassing.
Yes. So, look, I guess if that's your thing, you do more power to you. But it is interesting that the team did not figure this out on their own or did not act, to your point, until it was pointed out and became a thing on social media.
And you mentioned fans who run on the field. I don't like when broadcasters are like apologizing for that. It's like, oh, hey, we don't want to show this knucklehead. We don't want to give him the attention he's looking for. It's like, no, I want to see that.
Yeah.
Like back in the day, I think it was a Packers-Bengals game where a fan ran on the field and stole the ball out of Brett Favre's hands and started running down with it with the end zone. At the time that James Harrison suplexed some Browns fan. It's like when broadcasters apologize for fights breaking out on the field. It's like, oh, no one
suplexing the guy on the sidelines.
Schlegel. I was at that game actually against Cincinnati. I think that would have been 2015. That would have been the year after the championship year. But I can't stand when broadcasters are also like getting all apologetic about like fights, as if like that's not the coolest thing. Like we're all, hey, kids, come in here. Look what's happening right now.
Right.
Like, you got to be kidding me. But anyway, Pat, it's been a pleasure.
Been awesome.
I'll be here on Fan Sports Saturday with a rotating cast for the next few weeks, and then who knows? So we'll get this sorted out by football season. Stick around. 97.1.
T-Bone and Tyvus are everything you want in a delicious breakfast. Lots of empty calories, no nutritional value.
Weekday mornings from 6 to 9.
The Fan.
Hi, this is Bob Masheter from Dick Masheter Ford. Thank you to all of Central Ohio as we head towards 60 years of doing business in the Buckeye State. Dad opened up in 1967 simply trying to offer a better way to buy a car, and we've been working ever since to serve our neighbors. We have served you through wars, recessions, and even a Chinese virus. Here is to serving you and your kids and your grandkids for the next 60 years, except on Sundays when we're closed, because it's the right thing to do. Still 24/7 at masheterford.net. Thanks.
We could tell you what makes Giant Eagle special, but we think our customers say it best.
I love the fresh produce. I love the fresh meat.
I'm pretty sure the fish guy knows me by now. We're buds.
I love to grill. That alone keeps me coming back.
The people that work here are so nice and so helpful.
Everybody loves the cakes from Giant Eagle.
On every shelf, in every department, we're always going for better because being your Giant Eagle matters.
This is my Giant Eagle.
This is my Giant Eagle.
This is my Giant Eagle.
Cool cars, cool people, good times. It's the biggest and best hot rodding event of the year. The Good Guys 27th Summit Racing Nationals presented by PPG. July 11th through the 13th at the Ohio Expo Center in Columbus. Over 6,000 classics from across the USA. Shop the swap meet at Huge Vendor Midway. See which rides take home the crown of the 2025 Classic Instrument Street Rods and PPG Street Machine of the Year. July 11th through the 13th at the Ohio Expo Center. Details at good-guys.com.
Got one of those days that never stops? Try a stop at Speedway and refresh the vibe with 69-cent large Big Gulp drinks. Get 69-cent large Big Gulp drinks at Speedway with Speedy Rewards. The convenience stores of Speedway. Valid through 8/26/25. See app for full terms.
Get Eco.
ECO. Hey, Aaron, guess what we're getting ready to celebrate?
America's birthday?
That's right. How did you guess?
Well, you're dressed like Yankee Doodle, and you're wearing a tri-corner hat, and you've got a snare drum.
Get Eco. GETECO. Get Eco. They can really go. Get Eco. For your Cinco. Fix and a Blinko. You'll thinko. Hooray. Get Eco. GETECO. Get Eco. You'll be cool like snow. Get Eco. Like an ice Rinko. Puerto Rico. Get Eco today. Huh? What do you think?
Jerry, are you suggesting that Puerto Rico become the 51st state?
I could invent a brand new 51-star flag.
Get Eco.
ECO.
Eco plumbers, electricians, and HVAC technicians.
Have a safe 4th of July, everyone.
The Columbus Zoo invites you to follow the footsteps and the tails of animals from around the world. Explore our newest region, North America Trek. So what are you waiting for? Get your tail to our trails only at your Columbus Zoo.